just a ride. Whoa, oh, it's just a ride.
Welcome to Just a Ride. We don't know exactly where we're going, but I guarantee it'll be entertaining getting there. So climb aboard and grab yourself a seat. Seatbelts are optional. Get yourself a drink, grab some snacks, and let's see where we end up. Don't be afraid to let go of the bar. Throw those hands up and scream at will.
Shit, yeah. And you can sit on Bear Ball's lap. He likes that. Sit on his lap.
It's not safe.
Welcome to Just Ride number 25.
25.
Why don't you guys tell me what dumb sports things number 25
It's very important that we
for?
start each show. 25 is Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds when he was playing for the Giants, and Sammy Sosa, also Jim Thome. So it's the steroid era issue. Yeah. It's a steroid
25
episode.
is the representation for steroids.
Yes.
now.
Although Jim Thome, I don't
Are you
think...
on 25? You on 25? It's no longer gear. It's 25.
It is. Fucking A.
Is that the common age for starting steroids too?
Probably. It's like when you realize it's like, oh God, I got to keep up with these guys.
You're like, I feel like I've peaked, but I can't keep up.
Ricky Henderson was also 25 and 24. Just throwing out baseball shit.
I didn't know he was 25. I knew he was 24.
He's 24 for a lot, but yeah. That's last week we did Ken Griffey Jr. So
I know who at least 3 of those people are.
fucking, you never know the sports stuff. Do you know do you know who Wayne Gretzky is, bro?
Of course I know who Wayne Gretzky is.
So he knows hockey
Basically
things.
Jesus, bro.
That's true.
But it's
For
not
a
ball
long
sport.
time.
That's why he knows it.
It's kind of a ball though. It's like a flat ball. It's a hard flat ball.
Do you know who Todd Bertuzzi is?
Who? No.
Yeah.
See, all right, you win.
He accidentally sliced a dude's jugular open with his skate.
Fuck yeah.
Is that where they got that in, what was it, Happy Gilmore?
This was after Happy Gilmore.
No,
So he watched the movie and was like, I know how to get
He
this.
might have found inspiration. It was quite the deal. He got in some kind of trouble and had to go through some litigation over the shit, but he was literally skating away from this guy on the opposing team. The guy was chasing him down, and the guy, center of mass, he was top heavy, and he let himself get ahead of his skates, and he fell, and it just happened to be as Bertuzzi's skate was coming back, and it just got him right across the jugular. It was wild to watch.
He lived,
man.
though, right?
I was watching
Did he
that
live or
game. And from the moment the skate nicked his neck to when he hit the ice, it was just like a pool of just like blood on the ice. And he survived. Like he had the wherewithal to clamp down on it with his hand.
I don't think that's wherewithal. I think that's fucking reaction.
Well, yeah, sure, but
Fuck.
Like choking, everybody grabs the throat with two hands. It's universal.
Most of the time, I think
it's
I
the
just
universal. Oh fuck!
Pass out and shit myself. That's generally what happens in those kind of things. By the way, so I'm the P-Baw.
I'm the Pooh-Bah.
And the bear baw.
And then we have another voice in this here show today.
Hey.
This is Jake Rozier. Right?
Rozier.
Rozier. Rozier.
Let's give it all 6 pronunciations.
Jake Rozier.
It's like Frasier, but Rozier.
Jake
Rozier.
Rothschild.
Damn it. Never get it right. But tell us about yourself a little bit. You're a musician here in the area and all that good stuff. But
Yep.
now, okay, that's all I get. Now, how about we tell you about?
Here's your gift bag.
I'm
Go home.
27. A dude.
Damn it, killing it, brother. No, Shaiden, how would you describe his music? What would you say?
Trash.
Besides trash, let's get past all the truth and get into
But it's like the good trash. It's like the trash you make a bed out of, just you want to be cozy, sleep in it for that.
Right.
No,
Well, trash bag.
Jake's I don't know how to describe Jake's music, but when I met Jake, our mutual buddy Jeremiah
Christian
was sending me a text message. I was running this open mic downtown, and he sent me a text. He's like, "Dude, I'm bringing this dude tonight, and he fucking rocks, dude." And I was like, "Okay."
I fucking sucked then, dude.
but you had the fucking ingredients, dude, and you've turned them into something super rad. But I remember that night I was listening to your shit, and the coolest thing about it for me was that it wasn't like what anybody else was fucking doing, and I respect that because I try to do that with my own music. Like, I'm not trying to sound like anybody. I'm just doing my shit, and I think that's the thing I've noticed in your music more than anything.
And you must be the shit, because these guys are like talking about having you on. I'm like, I haven't met him yet. And they're like,
right,
where the fuck have you been?
Right.
We're like, you don't get a choice.
Yeah.
We're bringing him on.
Well, usually if we have a choice to pick a group to play with in the area, we've asked you 2 Halloweens in a row now at this point.
Yeah, and Halloween's our sacred holiday too.
It is. So yeah, we're like, we'll take you guys. So.
Well, and likewise too, like what you said, like that's why I like your guys' shit too, is because it's not really like anything else,
We're
It's
weirdos.
like your own thing, yeah.
weirdos.
Well, you've got an interesting background in music too, because you grew up doing bluegrass shit, right?
Yeah, like old time fiddle stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no shit.
Going like
Well,
festivals and contests.
now I'm
and shit.
excited. So I'm the douchebag that hasn't heard one note come from you. I'm
Oh, no,
super
you're
excited.
good.
You said bluegrass.
I
I
added
want
you
to
on
hear it.
Facebook, I think.
Yeah,
you added
yeah.
me. I think
We cuddled, yeah.
Well, the thousands of people that are listening to this on your team, they haven't heard them yet either. So
Well,
feel like you're in good company. We know what's coming at the end of the show, and we're going to play a song. What song are we going to play?
Oh shit!
It's up
Was
to
I
you to
supposed
decide.
Oh,
No, yeah. Okay, we're going to play a song.
Give me a
We'll be
second.
excited
You're
about.
welcome.
I gotta look. I gotta remember what songs I recorded.
Did you write your little speech you're supposed to give at the end? Oh, shit. All right.
Yeah,
well.
dude, I got it written.
Okay.
He's gonna dance.
You
Too,
want me to do it now?
Well, we'll talk more about Jake and his music as we go, and at the end of the show, we'll play some, and then we'll ask those weird, awkward questions about your process and your influences.
We're gonna want all your horsepower, name, age.
Yes.
You know,
All
well,
that
you already
crap.
gave a little bit of
Yeah.
it, but
I gave
But
the-
before
the
any
name,
of that, we're gonna force
the
you to
age.
talk about whatever kind of nonsense we
We've
decide
got
to talk
nonsense.
about. We brought
Welcome
you
to-
on here to.
Yeah, we're not.
Talk about
We're not going
things
to
totally
focus
out of
on
your
you. We're
purview.
focusing on basically me. And
yeah,
I
sometimes we're
spend
up our
my whole
ass.
fucking day, like every single day, focusing on my music and shit, and like trying to like book shit and do the social media shit and all that.
Step
So
away from it.
Yeah, I came here to listen to you guys talk about bullshit.
I'm excited to have a
That's-
fourth person
that's
to
the
tell
point,
us that
man.
we're so up our asses that we don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, we're about to wax very philosophical. You guys ready?
Let's get into this shit.
Yeah, let's start. We always start with the police story. And
Police story. What
This
was
time,
the name I was gonna talk about?
we're doing Jay Van Cleve,
Okay, so this goes again back into the
which is a
earlier-
made-up name.
the earlier years of law enforcement when I was in over in the Yakima Valley, and I think I've mentioned before that I was a gang officer. I was actually a gang expert, believe it or not,
He was a gangspert.
because there was a lot of gangs over there. A gang
Twice,
expert.
it's made me laugh each time. I love it every time.
So, for a couple years, I kept hearing all the time that I looked a lot like Jay Van Cleve, and we had never met.
Who looks like Vin Diesel?
Yeah. Well, back then it was Goldberg. Nobody
Right,
knew
right.
who the fuck Vin Diesel was back then.
Fair.
So there was a little gym in town. I was working out, and I kept seeing this dude, and honestly going, that guy looks like me. I bet that's Jay Van Cleve. Well, Jay had been in Oregon prison because at a time in his life he had some drug problems and did some time in the pen in Oregon. Well, he had gotten out. Anyway, finally at the gym, there was one day we kind of just met eyes, and I went up to him like, "Are you Jay Van Cleve?" And he's like, "Are you the guy they call Goldberg?" I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah, he's like,
about
"You're a
time we
cop,
met.
aren't you?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, they called me Goldberg in prison too." He's like, "Dude, I got a story to tell you." I'm like, "What's up?" He's like, "I was out. It's a little town called Buena, and in Buena, there's one little tiny store where you can get the best chicken gizzards in the world. They are the best." Fucking love chicken.
Hard to
gizzards.
quantify that.
It's like eating, rubber tire that's deep
That
fried,
is-
but I love them.
That's the most Louisiana thing I've ever heard come out of your mouth.
Anyway,
Gator necks.
so and being the gang officer, gang members don't like me. In fact, in today's world, I'd still have a hit on me in the Yakima Valley because I did a lot of damage to the gangs
Right.
when I was down there,
I'd hit
which
on
I'm pretty
you.
proud of,
Yeah,
quite
you should
frankly.
be. You should be.
And they're probably all getting out about now, so I should probably be a little nervous. Anyway, he told me this story. He's like, "Hey, I was out at the little Buena store to go get some chicken gizzards." He said, "I got surrounded by a bunch of Florencia gang members. They thought I was you. They were going to fucking kill me. They were going to kill me. They thought I was you. I had to pull out my Oregon penitentiary ID because you get an ID card when you're in prison, believe it or not."
Saved his ass.
Yeah. He's like, "I had to pull out my ID to prove that I wasn't you."
Wow.
So he's like, you need to be, they want to kill you. You need to be careful.
Yikes.
And that's kind of when I started investigating all that and found out that there was actually a legit hit out on me.
Yikes.
So
You had a-
it's a short story, but that's it.
Fucking penitentiary ID. That's like automatic street cred for
Yeah.
like gangbangers.
Yeah.
Right?
And of course-
no, look, I'm one of you.
True to Getch form. He
I got
and
the
I,
card and everything.
Got my business card.
You guys became friends.
True to
huh?
Getch form. We became friends while I was living down there. And of course, I haven't seen him since I left. But
Been just such a pain in the ass for so many of your captains and sergeants and stuff where they're like, will you stop making friends with all these people?
Yeah, I mean, there was a rule. I was told not to hang out with felons. Well,
Right.
the majority of friends that I have in this world, short of you guys, are convicted felons. Moreover, they're convicted felons that I put in jail or
Yeah.
prison. And when they got out, they sought me and became friends. So it's kind of a cool thing.
I
You don't see that
anything's
very
wrong
often.
with
You're
that.
walking a
That's a
rare path.
bullshit rule.
It is a
honestly,
bullshit
you know?
rule.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes it for such a problem in society, I think. I
Well,
mean,
especially
but that
cons-
makes sense, though, too. Like, what's the steel man for that?
Does it make sense? I mean, if somebody fucked up in their life, they paid their dues, and they get out and they're not fucking up anymore, aren't we supposed to forgive people in this world for that shit?
Yeah, just saying like nobody's redeemable. You know, once
Right.
you fuck up, you're fucked for life. Like that's just that. You
Is
know?
it meant to...
Prison's punishment, but it also can be a life changer, and we're supposed to respect the fact that people have the right and the time and the ability to change. And if you do, you can be my fucking friend. Absolutely. If you're still a cunt, then I'm probably not going to like you. But
Is it meant to err on the side of less corruption kind of thing? It's
fuck, I don't know.
I mean,
just think
there's
it's
got to be
fucking
some sort of
dumb.
logic
No, it's
there,
a
I'm
government separation is what it is.
sure. Yeah. It's a silly
You know,
thing.
hey,
Well, they don't
you
do that
need
with
to
the
be an
DMV.
yeah, you need to be an angel, but come deal with monsters and fuck with their rules.
I wonder
No.
if the IRS, they're like, you can't hang out with people, they won't like you, and you're in a different world anyway. And they're like, you're right, you're right.
Well, especially because
I
you
take
can
people's
tell me
lives
to
and
fuck
dreams.
off if I'm wrong on this, but I don't think you will because we've had conversations about this. But the line between a cop and a criminal is like so fucking thin. Too,
Real fucking
you know?
thin.
Like
Real
and
thin.
and that's not to say that all cops are bad people, but not that all criminals are bad people either. Is kind of my point. You know, it's just like there's
We live in the same world. It's just you draw lines of what's right and what's wrong. And you guys
At
know
certain
me.
times.
I'm
and a lot of times you're just dealing with the hand you're dealt too. You know, if you're fucking grow up like in a culture where it's like there's a bunch of gangs and stuff, and that's your only path that you see moving forward to have a life where you have money and like where you can be successful. I'd follow that path. if
friends,
that's what I
you
grew
know?
I'll
up
tell you when
in,
it comes to gang, the actual real gang culture, I totally understand it, and I actually have a lot of respect for it. What I saw as a gang officer is it gets bastardized just like anything else, and these fucking retards. If you were in a gang, I had to tell you about your gang and how it started. Like I would sit there and educate kids and adults on, well, let me tell you a bit about your gang, since you're throwing colors and this is the life you want to live. At least know what you're doing.
Right.
So,
Well, that's the story of a lot of people's lives as well. I have no idea what's going on. None of us know what we're doing.
Well,
not really. But it's funny when it's on that level.
anyway,
It's a micro
short
level.
story.
It's
not a lot
interesting.
to it.
It's interesting to think about that shit for me because I've said this several times to several of my friends over the years that I was less than a handful of different decisions away from becoming a fucking criminal at several points in my life. You know, it's not like I was like thinking, oh, I'm gonna become a criminal. It wasn't like a conscious thing. But looking back, I'm like, if I had ended up with my mom instead of my dad, 100% I would have fallen in with the shit crowd, and my road would have been way fucking different, you know. And it's just like when you look at things through that lens, it makes it a lot harder to look at people and go good, bad, you know, just smack them with labels and say that they can't mix, because it's like, dude, but for a few different decisions, all of us could be that thing that we're fucking scoffing at, you know.
Dude, that's how I am, man. With like, I grew up around like a lot of like, there's a lot of addiction in my family. I'm an addict, and I have a lot of friends who like went down that road really bad, and you know, every once in a while I'll see them like downtown or something, panhandling or whatever, and you know, they're stealing people's cars and doing, you know, the whole thing, and I still love them. You know, they're just fucking broken and they don't got anything, and it's really tough, you know. But they were good people. I knew them when they were good people, and I have one buddy who sorry to ramble or whatever.
No, thing. That's why we're here.
Weird. Well, I got one buddy who I was working at this skate shop downtown, and he came in one night with a friend of his, and I hadn't seen him in like years before then. And he was all strung out, and his buddy was strung out, and his buddy started walking towards the back of the shop, and he yelled at him. He's like, "Hey, he can't fucking trust us. This is my homie. Like, you can't like get out of his eyesight," like yelling at his friend. And he started breaking down crying, like to me. He's like, "I can't fucking stop. I keep doing, like, not just using, but like, you know, doing like walking into stores and stealing shit and like just stealing cars and doing all, like, I can't fucking stop." And I'm like dying, and I haven't seen my daughter in a long fucking time. He's been in, like, I don't know where he's at now, but he's been in and out of jail for forever, you know. But it fucked me up because he was so aware, you know. And he, especially me too, at the time I was struggling a lot as well, like not like him, but yeah, it was just tough, you know, because he knew, and he his morals were intact. Like he wanted to do the right thing. He was just so fucked up he couldn't. You know,
Addiction's a nutty thing.
Yeah.
Just gets a hold of you.
You can be addicted to more than drugs and alcohol. You can be addicted to certain lifestyles for sure. And there is a rush, and we can all admit there is a rush in doing the wrong thing and getting away with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And him in particular, he's definitely addicted to drugs and alcohol too, and that definitely accelerates all that.
It does help.
Yeah,
it does help
big time.
I think human beings thrive on patterns, you know. So like addiction is really just attachment to certain patterns, you know, and that could be fucking anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk shit about negative addictions because they're easy targets, you know. It's just like, oh yeah, you're addicted to booze, you're an alcoholic, you know, shame on you. But then it's like, I know people who are addicted to fucking yoga to the exclusion of things that they really should be focusing on in their life. And it's like, no, you can't get so fucking attached to a pattern. I mean, you can obviously, but you shouldn't. You should avoid getting so attached to any fucking pattern, good, bad, or indifferent, that you become the horse instead of the rider.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, all that shit will break you. Patternicity, that's what we are.
Well, when it comes
makes
to
all of our silly decisions.
When it comes to habits and patterns, let's just throw something out like alcoholism. You just say let's say you're in that pattern of you're quitting drinking. If you don't replace that addiction with another positive addiction or something to get into, you're a miserable fuck.
Right.
It's
so hard.
And you're probably going to go back to drinking because life's a hell of a lot more fun drunk. But you know, if let's say you replace it with working out and really focusing on your diet, it gives you something else to do.
That's better.
You know, that's why I don't think when someone is going through a rehab or coming off an addiction, I hate when people treat them with kids' gloves and pamper them and baby them. No, give them more to do. Put more in front of them so they can grab onto something.
Yeah.
Don't make them do nothing and do it all for them. They're not fucking learning anything, and they're just going to go back to what they knew.
Well,
That's my opinion, but I'm right.
I went to rehab a while ago, like coming up on like 4 years ago. And that's what happened with me. I got out and I made it like 3 months and I didn't have shit to do, you know, and I just started drinking again. And then this time around, you know, I have music and I've just kind of replaced it with work, you know, and it's worked so far. You
Was
know?
alcohol your thing, or was it more?
Yeah.
It's none of my fucking business.
No, yeah, mainly alcohol. I mean, some other shit too, but mainly alcohol. And then in the past, I had a problem with like opiates and stuff, but I'd kicked that for the most part up until then, you know. But this time around, it's just alcohol.
I mean, how many times do you see people? Just at work, I'm like, well, you know, I stopped shooting heroin. I'm just smoking oxys now.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm doing
or
better.
fucking methadone. Don't
Killing
get me
it.
started on that shit, man.
Well, that was, you know, let's linger on this a little bit. You've brought up this point a few times where the system of rehabilitation is often just a lifelong thing where you just keep going back, and like for the methadone thing where you never get off. Like the majority
The
of people
system is set up to keep you on methadone.
Yeah, and so you're always in recovery forever, even when you're down to the littlest amount. And they never treat you like you're done. Well done.
Right, and we're going to interview somebody about that here in the next couple months.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll bring that up again. But I've always found that interesting, where it's like there's good intentions in so many things, but it always ends up being.
Is it a good intention? I mean, it's really just it's.
I mean, there's money tied into it.
Yeah,
so
that's
like
exactly
it's hard
right.
to have
That taints
good
quite a bit.
intentions when
I
it's
think
tied in with
society's
that.
like, yes, let's do a rehab program with the government or the 12-step program and sponsor it or run it. And so there are good intentions,
Yeah.
but the corruption of human beings is the first step.
It's
so.
all a fucking business, dude. I mean, it's from my civilian understanding of our prison system in the United States. It's a business, you know. And it's like
business.
it's not they're not going to remain in a profitable situation if they're effectively rehabilitating people to where and setting them up to where they'll never come back. It's not to say that it doesn't happen, but they're not necessarily hashtag not all, but they're not necessarily geared towards that. I feel like it's the same with fucking rehabilitation of addiction. They're just like, we'll give you enough to, you know, show on paper that we got it, we cleaned them up, you know, but they didn't give you anything.
Well, the
any
methadone thing is a
carry
great
forward,
example of that, because it's like they'll give you oxys and they'll give you hydros and they'll give you all that shit, and then once you graduate to heroin, then you're a bad guy because they can't profit off you anymore, and then they get you back in with methadone and they're profiting again, and it's
Right.
cool, you know. And obviously, it goes beyond that,
Well,
but
and
that's
they give
definitely
you-
a factor. You
And
know,
alcohol.
They start you on way too much. Actually, they start you lower, but they increase your methadone way higher than it ever needs to be.
Yeah.
And they don't bring you down until you decide you want to start coming down, which most people don't because they're too scared.
Yeah.
And there still is a sickness that comes after the methadone. We'll get more into that. But the government, they keep you on.
Yeah, well,
They try to
and
keep
just
you
in the
on.
first place, going back to like the pills they start with, like they just hand that shit out like I mean, they've cracked down on it a lot, but it's still pretty bad. I mean, that's how I got into all that stuff.
course,
I
most
broke
people-
my arm skateboarding, and you know, it just didn't stop. You know, because the doctor just kept giving me more and more and more. And once he stopped, and it's like my buddy down the street has some, and then my other buddy has some stronger shit, and then it just goes down that. You know,
It's pretty
Yes.
wild how hard they push it, man. Like even when I was in the hospital for my appendix, I was just like, it hurts, but I don't need any. I don't want to take anything. Like I've been hurting. I'll just keep hurting until you get it out of me, and then I'll take Tylenol. You know,
It
And they were
can't
like,
hurt as bad as
They-
it did before you took it out.
dude. They had 3 different people 4 different times come into the waiting room that I was in the ER, to like aggressively trying to get me to take morphine. And I was like,
Probably because they were
blown away
tired
by
of
it.
hearing you cry.
I was, yeah, probably. I was like,
Dude,
no, I don't want it. But no, seriously, I kept telling them, I'm like, look, I'm fine. And they finally, they were just like, listen, they sent a fucking doctor in, not a nurse. They sent an actual doctor in. It was the middle of the night too. I was like, where'd you get her from? But she comes in there and she's like, look, you're going to go into surgery in the next hour or 2. You have to give your body a break. I am strongly telling you need to take some pain medication. And I was finally like, fine, like if it'll make you fucking shut up about it, just give me the smallest dose that you're allowed to give me, and it's compromise.
Maybe
you know,
maybe it makes your muscles in your body relax so they can actually do the surgery, which
Yeah.
would have some validity to it.
Well,
yeah, but I mean,
knows?
they
You've been
they
fighting
dosed
that.
me to the moon with fentanyl right before they put me under. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the morphine was for.
I think it was just
well,
to
dude,
shut you up.
they re-upped me when I was a kid. They re-upped me on like a pretty gnarly hydro prescription. After like 2
no, it's a
Here's your
no,
monthly supply.
but for fucking my wisdom teeth getting pulled out, like after like a month, I had a what's it called, like a checkup appointment, and they just gave me a whole new fucking bottle of hydros.
month later.
And I was like, at the time, I was like, fuck yeah, but
You're like,
you
I
know,
don't even
like
have stitches anymore.
Like I have 0
for
pain. They're like,
wisdom teeth,
Yeah.
dude. Like, what the hell?
you seem like a nice kid. Here you go. Ruin your life. Here you go.
Yeah, he's like, how you feeling? I feel great. He's like, okay, well, you want more hydros? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, okay, cool.
How what?
Oh, you have to wonder if he's like, do you just want to be cool or what?
Yeah.
You're not a very good
He's
doctor.
like, here, take 4, give them out for Christmas presents.
Stocking stuff is indeed.
Tell
So
your
this is how
friend.
things go. We go from chicken gizzards to this.
Yes. That's why I call it just a ride. It really does meander all throughout all the things and stuff. But this does take us to our next topic. I think we've
Does it?
run our course. I think so.
Does it take us there?
I'm taking us there.
Okay.
This, I'm an idiot.
Take us there.
So this meaning, Zach.
Me taking us there because I'm sick and listening to this conversation.
Fair enough.
Okay. No, we're going to talk about the music industry a little bit since there's 3 of us here, and really all 4 of us write songs. So
No shit, do you?
yeah.
It's poetry they could throw some music to and give it life.
Yeah,
That's all. That's
what it
all the
is,
songs
dude.
are, dude. That's all I do.
He's writing songs.
Why do you have to be pretentious about it?
It's more based on his influences of Shakespeare and Frost.
That's so hipster. He's like, well, I wouldn't call them songs. They're more poetry.
Dude, next time I get that question, the influence question, that's what I'm going to. I'm gonna be like Shakespeare.
Frost, Shakespeare, Nietzsche. All right, so we don't really have any. It's basically music now versus yesterday was kind of what we thought about talking about.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think about this shit a lot because I mean I've been a musician who's been chasing after it hard for ever since I can fucking remember. I mean I picked up violin when I was 6. Sorry, I lied. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I've been doing it a long fucking time, and I've observed a lot of artists in the communities that I've been in, and they seem to almost universally have this mentality of, you know, air quotes, making it in music still works the same way that it did in the fucking 80s. And I'm kind of baffled by that because it really fucking doesn't. Like, I mean, I've had associates here in Spokane that have got signed with like Sony Records and shit, and it hurt them more than it helped them, because that's the way that it's set up now.
It's a big crippling loan with huge interest rates.
Right.
Is what it is.
And if you're not careful, you lose the rights to all your
music,
fucking shit that you've created.
Yeah, fuck.
I want to interject because it's more of a, I don't know if it's a question, but I can remember like reading one of Motley Crue's books, and they were talking about how they finally got to the point where they produced their own music, because they were basically slaves to the producers and the people carrying the contracts. So I think that the problem has always existed. Obviously Napster and such really took the financial gain out of music in general.
A lot of it,
so you have to do it a lot different.
The gatekeepers still remain. That's what all this is gatekeepers.
Well, there's that, but the difference between now and then primarily is that then there was at least a lot of money to be made as an artist who was touring and signed with a record company. You could make shit tons of money.
Plastic disc, baby.
60s to 80s, you could make fucking, and in the 90s too.
Until the
There's
end.
fucking gobs of money that you could make doing that. Now, you can get signed and they'll still set up your tours for you and manage your merch and get you set up with distribution packages that get you where your shit needs to be heard. But the amount of money you get in return for it is minuscule by comparison. So you're selling your soul the same as you used to, but the shit that you're getting out of it is squat.
Well,
It's not
So
worth
what
you
makes
put
the
into it.
kingpins in music the kingpins? The big. I couldn't name 5 popular fucking artists because I really don't know. I don't know. First name popped in my head was Brianna. What makes Brianna and gives her the, I would assume, gazillion dollars versus anybody else? Why does she get that and not anybody else? What is she doing different?
Usually,
what are her promoters
usually
doing
means
different?
you already have a lot of money to begin with.
Does it?
Is really kind of
or you're
what it is.
lucky, or you're just like the pretty face that they choose. Because I mean, a lot of that shit is just like people in a bunch of suits who are just trying to fucking make money, and then they just pick like a lot of like Nashville, for example. All those songs from the people coming out, I mean, not everything, obviously there's outliers, but a lot of that shit, like when you go down to Nashville or whatever, most of that stuff is stuff that was written by an algorithm. I mean, people wrote it, but based off of like what sells. So it's like they type in keywords and they see what sells the best. And then they pick someone who can halfway sing, that has a pretty face, that would be a good face for that song.
First course,
and
first
then
course,
they give
first
it,
course,
and then
course.
and then they they book them, and then that's the person. But it has nothing to do with that person or their artistic ability. It has more to do with if they think that person is going to be able to sell it.
Fair enough.
If you're writing songs by committee, or if you have, it's no big deal if you're playing other people's songs. So that can be great. It's just whatever. But it's like having all of these groups, like focus groups, like what should we name the album? Well, this focus group said that if we put this word in there,
It's like a board meeting.
All my life I've been wanting to play music, but all these people say like you have to do it this way, you have to do it this way, and it's like it comes down to where you're like, so the music business is a bunch of people trying to trick 14-year-olds and really 14-year-old girls into thinking you're cool.
Right.
I don't want anything to do with that.
Well,
0% do I want to do with that.
My mind is blown because I don't know anything about the music industry, so I'm probably a cunt here while I'm talking. But like, 2 of the biggest artists in our area that I think are the most talented fucking people are Nathan Chartre and Joshua Belliardo. I don't understand why they aren't selling millions of albums and touring the world.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Is it just, I mean,
There's
I don't understand.
a lot of
I mean,
talent in the
there's
world.
2 games you can play. There's a music industry game where it's about luck and I mean, everything's about knowing the right people, networking and shit. That's important on both sides of the coin. But there's the game, like I said, like use Nashville for an example. There's that game, where you can try to weasel your way into this existing like giant thing, that's all about money, or you can do it independently and build it on your own, and I don't know. I mean, Nathan, he might take like a record deal or something if he got it, but right now he's building shit on his own, and I think that's the way to do it, because then fuck the music industry. You're making your own industry, you're making your own business, and if there's 1,000 people that are willing to buy your merch, you're going to be able to survive pretty decently, and you can find them on your own.
Ryan Upchurch, I don't know if you guys he's more country rap. The guy's actually, he does kind of everything. I love that he doesn't really have a genre, but that's what made him big, was country rap. But that guy, from what I understand anyway, he just promotes himself. He does most of his shit. And well, now he's got other people. He does a lot of collaboration and everything too. But that guy is killing it. What is he doing different that you guys aren't doing, that other people are doing?
I agree with Jake that those are the two avenues you can go, and I would say that the avenue that you should consider going if you're going down that road is the doing it yourself avenue, because that's what I mean when I feel because if you're going the other way trying to be lucky, well, good fucking luck.
Well, and the other thing is they can take you, they can get rid of
mean?
you as soon as they take you on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's all up to them. If you do it yourself and you build an audience, and people, they'll stick around. You know,
yeah.
Like
and the problem with doing it yourself is you have to become a small business person.
Yes.
In order to do it,
You have to learn all those.
Yeah,
things.
you got to be good at business as well as music.
For artistically minded people, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
You know,
Most-
and for me too, I've had to learn, and that's not to say that I'm the best at it. I'm not fucking, I'm not topping the charts currently, but that hasn't really been my ambition in a while either. But no one can take it from you if you build it yourself and hang on to it and don't put it in anybody else's pocket, which is worth a lot. It's worth a lot more than money, in my opinion. And if you manage to build it from the ground up using only your own merit and people that are actually invested in what you're doing rather than being invested in the idea of you, then that shit will have more staying power. It'll be more meaningful. It'll add more to your life in the long run. And maybe you won't be playing packed out arenas. I mean, hopefully you will, because that's fucking awesome. Not that I've done it, but I've played in front of some big crowds, and it's a fucking rush. Like, nothing really kind of compares to that shit. But
That's pretty bad.
But that's fleeting, you know, like that's the drug. That's the high that you get out of it. But the rest of it, I mean, you can either chase that high and hardly ever grab it, or you can have a whole bunch of fulfillment in between and then get a few highs along the way, which is the doing it yourself route, in my opinion.
And again, maybe I'm wrong, but if you're doing it for the fame and the fortune and not the love of your talent and your music and
You're
your
hardly
art,
an artist. Yeah.
then you're kind of a cunt and you probably shouldn't succeed anyway.
You're more of a karaoke singer, yeah. Which isn't bad either. I look
Yes,
at
it
it
is,
like
Zach. It's very bad.
No, it's not. Like people like karaoke, and I know some people that are pretty good at it. The way I look at it is in the big picture too. The internet is part of this thing that is decentralizing all these entertainment markets, and I don't want to be part of the big companies that are part of the old school centralization of the gatekeepers are 15
they're
people.
going the way of the dinosaur anyway.
Yeah, there's nothing, we can't put the genie back into the bottle.
Right.
So, and I like same with podcasting. It's like this is content as. I mean, SKATCAST puts out 5 things a week. We're content up there with anybody as far as the podcasting world and stuff, and that's where it is. And it's like
SKATCAST.com.
That's right. Patreon.com/SKATCAST.
Well,
we don't owe anything to anyone except for Dan Cummins. Thank you, Dan. But it's being decentralized means that we have more. A marketplace of more opinions, a marketplace of more diverse thoughts and ideas, and it's just a special thing to be a part of. We're like these trailblazers. I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back or any of you, but it's like we are all kind of just like guinea pigs in all of this stuff. Yeah. And with musicians, like we have no idea how to make, like with touring, you used to, as a band, they take all of your percentage off of your record sales. They take 80, 90, 95% of the points off of your 100-point record. But then you go on tour and you'd make all your money on merch. And now there's 0 plastic discs for sale, and the downloads barely pay anything. Yeah. And so now the record companies are like, yeah, let's get you on tour. And they take money off the tickets and they take money off the merch. So the artists are now back to the point where so if you want to see your favorite artist, I say this all the time, go to Jiffy Lube, because they're going to change your oil for you. He's the guitar player for a national touring band.
I have another question too. I mean, so like even with podcasting or music, you get all your content out there and you get it on YouTube. You have to get such an exorbitant amount of likes, and YouTube has to like what you're doing or they'll cancel you as well. How the fuck do you make it work?
It's like a lot of, I mean, artists learning business is interesting because it does create like all these new little niches to everything, and I don't know how we do it. It's like I said, it's trailblazing. People are just like,
gotta work really fucking hard.
Yeah.
It's
Lots of side hustles.
I probably spend, I don't know about you guys, but I probably spend 20% of my time like with my music stuff actually playing music. The other 80% is fucking emailing, doing promoting, booking,
fucking
shit like that.
Gear.
Yeah, hauling, setting shit up at shows. But also, going back to something you said, you mentioned the podcast, and like part of the thing about doing it on your own too that's really cool is that you guys can go on here and say whatever the hell you want. You know, like you're not like back in the day, your option would have been like a TV show, you know, and like you watch a talk show and those things are fucking terrible, you know?
Yeah.
And so like this is cool because you can actually like talk, like have a real conversation. And same with music, like when you're
Phil, bro.
Well, I hosted,
Dr. Phil's a cool one.
I hosted a radio show for years, or for a few years, and I almost cost my company hundreds of thousands of dollars each time I would talk because the FCC, and, you know, like I would have to bleep things. Yeah,
This is my shocked face.
and you know, you can't say fucking cunt on like radio because of FCC. But here it's like this special place. Again, marketplace of ideas.
Well, you know, you can say on the radio, which I could go off about this all fucking day, but you can't say something is fucking awesome, but you can like have a bunch of super sexualized shit or like talking about like, you know, drugs and alcohol
Violence
and like
and
how awesome it is. As long as you don't say fuck, then that's cool, and like your children can listen to that. But they can't listen to you say, man, isn't it this fucking awesome, isn't something super fucking cool? That's bad. But what's okay is to the other, it's so backwards, and I don't know.
We have our priorities pretty screwed up.
Yeah.
Didn't we do a little fuck this thing on the FCC in the early days of Jar?
I think so.
we did.
Yeah. We can
We all agree on
revisit that again. We should probably do that every year.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
feel like
a
I'm
service.
talking a lot of shit about a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna listen to this back and be like, oh god,
Oh,
what
he's
the
whiny.
fuck?
No, you're fine. That's kind of
Some
what we
things
do.
you should keep to yourself. But
That's the other
Whatever.
thing. Yeah, Jeff is not. Does not
I got to
subscribe
tell you,
that.
that's why I have had to keep shit to myself, because I was a faction of the government that didn't get to live by the rules of everybody else in society. So now I'm like, I am free.
yeah.
I can open my mouth. And
Yeah.
if you don't like what I say, I don't give a fuck. You can love me or hate me. It really
He's
doesn't
fucking
matter.
the genie in Aladdin right after the fucking cuff came
Don't you
off.
put me back in there, motherfucker. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about with the music stuff?
So, what do you guys think, before we leave this, what do you guys think about the nature of the way people in general interact with music now as opposed to how they used to? Because I feel like music as an entertainment medium is not, it's not interacted with the same now as it was. Like, you know, if somebody's like, hey, let's go out and do something, like maybe around item 10 or 11 for most people is like, let's go see if anybody's playing some live music. Like, it's just become kind of an accessory to whatever else is going on rather than something that is sought out. And not everybody, there are people that still, that's their primary thing that they go and search out to do in their leisure time. But those people are like, they seem like the minority to me as somebody who's been a working musician for a lot of years.
Oh, for sure. We've watched the crowds dwindle in all the genres.
Yeah.
Barring a couple, EDM and hip hop have kind of stayed consistent. Country's still kind of consistent.
Do you think
but-
that's because there's so many other forms of entertainment that
Yes.
are a lot easier to access?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. On-demand stuff, I mean, there's just...
But I mean, you could do that with music too, right? But you could do that before if you had the album. It'd be way easier to listen to the album than go see it played live. So
I wonder if devaluing it in the sense that you could download it for free, I wonder if that did something to the value of the live music too.
probably didn't help. But I have mixed feelings
Yeah.
about that too, because I don't know. I there's some there's some deeply artistic side of me that's like, art shouldn't be behind a paywall. Like art is made for people to interact with, and like it's supposed to stir something in
as
somebody.
a consumer, I disagree with you.
I know.
And
You
this
don't
is
get
why.
more art if there's no money involved, so that person will starve to death kind of thing. But go ahead.
I'm turning into an old fuck now. I mean, I've supported the local music scene and you know, quite honestly, the national music scene. I've been to a lot of fucking concerts in my life.
Yeah.
But I'm at the age now where I would rather sit around a fire and learn about people than go out and listen to loud music and not be able to have a conversation. The people are more important to me. But I'll buy your fucking albums. I'll buy your shirts. I'll buy your buttons. Whatever the fuck it is to support you. But I might not go to your show just because I'm getting older.
Right.
And it's too fucking loud on a long enough timeline.
Well,
Does that make sense?
that makes total
Does
sense.
it make your hearing aids feedback?
Okay, you're a cunt. I don't have
well, it also makes it so that people that do show up, like, you know what they're actually there for. Like, they're there for, like, there's a lot of people who go out to shows and they just go to drink and dance and they're not really paying attention. They're just looking for a band to dance to kind of thing, which is cool. And I appreciate that when people come out, you know, just to go out.
Yeah.
But that's not...
It's not a true supporter.
No, yeah, like and not
That's not
even
what
a
musicians
supporter.
are.
Yeah, and I don't even want to call it like a supporter, because like music should be about, you write something and hopefully it can connect with somebody in some way and it can mean something to them. And then the fact that it means something to them means something to you. And it's like a mutual thing. It's not even just support because it's a mutual kind of deal, you know?
It's a love for the art.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like if
I made this for a reason, damn it.
Yeah, so
That's exactly my point about why I don't think it should live behind a paywall.
Yeah,
because
but
that just pollutes that connection.
Yeah, I was kind of talking more about the first thing about people going out and stuff to live music and going out to shows. Like generally, I think the people who go out just for the sake of going out, I appreciate it when they do, and it'd be cool if more people did it. But it's not, to me personally, it's not that big of a deal because it's like those are the people that it's kind of like.
It's not feeding your soul.
Yeah, they're not like getting anything out of this other than like going out and getting drunk and having a good time for the night, which is like from my music at least, like I'd like it like to connect with people more than that. And I'm not like mad that it's not connecting with them that way. Yeah. I'm just saying it's not but it's not as important to me, the people that don't come out because they have other stuff to do. Like the people that want to come out because it matters to them, they're going to come out either way. You know what I mean?
But we used to call them albums, but people that are purchasing your downloads, those are the people that are investing into your music.
Yeah.
We still call them albums.
Whatever the fuck they are. I don't know. I'm trying to be cool right now, I guess. Fucking
call them
recognizing
AOIOX.
Anyway,
17s, Jeff.
I think those are the people that are your true people that are resonating with your music, and you know what? They're going to be people you never meet. Zach asked me a question early on when we met. He's like, "How many people have you helped?" Fuck, I don't know. But they don't call me back.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, you never know.
So it's an unknown to you, and it can drive you crazy not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's just.
But with social media, you kind of, people still interact with you on there, and you know, you can, and you know, and so, and I don't know, you can kind of tell, not that like I have like a big following or whatever, so I don't really know. I'm pretty ignorant to how the whole thing works.
Huge.
You know,
it's huge. His following is huge. It's the greatest. Largest followers.
But and I agree with you too. I mean, being a musician, I'm kind of guilty of the same thing you are. Like the last thing I generally want to do is go out and watch other people play me, especially now being sober too. On top of that, it's like I really ever only go out if like someone, like there's a artist that I really, really want to see, you know, because their music means a lot to me, or if it's my friends and I want to support them, you know, like
that's if I come out to your show whenever you're performing, it's because I really fucking like you, because if I didn't, I wouldn't come.
I like
same with me.
By the way, the other night,
and if I don't come out, if there's anyone on here listening that's like a musician in the area and I don't come out to your shows, it doesn't mean I don't like you.
Right. He's just chosen.
I spend so much fucking time with music. It's like my free time. That's the last thing I want to do.
By the way, nobody in town listens to this show either. It's all out of town,
dude. After doing the Songsmith series and seeing all the artists in town, it was really fun, and meeting everybody and finding out all the cool people and stuff. It's like, I don't want to see anybody sing with an acoustic guitar for probably 10 more years.
You know, doing the Songsmith series, it was really cool for that reason, but it also was detrimental to me for that reason too, if I'm being honest. And it's not because it's just that musicians are so fucking high maintenance to work with, dude. Like especially when it comes to scheduling and everybody having different notions of how shit's supposed to go. Like you could do that shit for a year and you'd be like, no, I'm good. Like I don't want to be involved in any kind of booking or promote. Like I just want to play.
So that's where I'm
sure
at
that
right
was
now.
a good networking thing though for you guys, like meeting a bunch of people.
I've always done that. I don't know why I've always done that. Like before the Songsmith series, I live in California, but
Zach's
before
always
then,
trying to make the A team, man.
dude. I learned early on. It was like, so when I started playing music in like 98, 99, 97, somewhere in there, I read every book you're supposed to read, and this kind of speaks to how we started. And I read all these, like the music business 101 and all these things, and it's like, okay, and
music and you,
But one of the first things that I learned was like, fuck going to Hollywood, fuck going to New York, fuck going to Nashville, and Austin or whatever. Like, try and make your community, like try and make your name in your community, and try and help your community. Don't be a cunt. Just fucking all this stuff. I don't know what book I read.
Grass is always greener thing. It's a bunch of bullshit.
It is.
Anyway.
It is.
I mean, if you live in a small town in the mountains like I grew up, where there's only 900 people there, and a lot of them are retired, it's like, okay, well, You
should get out of there.
You could do a little bit, but like, that's not really going to be conducive to it. But like, if you live in any size of city and you can't make some kind of a go out of your building a community there,
especially with the internet,
going somewhere else is not going to fix that. Like, you're the problem.
Why be? I mean, is it better to be a big fish in a small pond, or to go to LA and be the tiniest fish in the biggest pond? I mean, I'd
rather eat the fish than be the fish that gets eaten.
Fair enough.
By the way, so was it last night or the night before? Five Finger Death Punch and Brantley Gilbert did a concert together.
I don't know who Brantley Gilbert is.
He's country.
Is he? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How
cool
Who's
is that?
5 Finger Death Punch?
Don't make me kick you in the taint.
Jeff just wants to kick somebody at this point. It's like, you guys, we haven't seen each other for a week. Give me shit. But basically, I was like, okay, I read all these books, and it was right at the time when Napster was happening, and all of the knowledge of the music business just died. Like, at the time that I was reading, it's like, you want to look into this internet thing at the back of the book, and it's like, but really, you want to do this, you want to network here, you want to get into these radios, you want to do this and try and find a label and all this stuff. And so I'm just following along the things, and I was terrible too, so there's nobody going to give me a record label at this point. But it was just like 2 years later, they're like, okay, the next book is like, we have no idea how to do this now. There's we don't know.
Sounds like a terrible book.
Chapter 2, we have no fucking idea.
They were honest. They're like,
we can't believe you paid for this book.
No, this was the new edition. Like the old edition, I read it was like, internet, look into it. The next one, they're like, internet killed all of the things that we said before. Just find somebody that knows the internet.
Volume
Maybe a 12-year-old.
You know what?
Disregard Volume 1.
Yeah, exactly. You know what though? I love that, honestly, that the internet did that had that effect on music. I think it's great.
Me too.
And a lot of people bitch about it, but I'm like, look, it's decentralization, and that's in my opinion pretty much never a bad thing. It's like putting things back into the hands of people. Like, Zach, you say all the time at our shows, we'd rather be, heard than paid, which is kind of mostly true, but
kind of.
I like being paid too, but
it's an artist saying kind of hyperbole a little bit.
But it is the point, because like if that shit is behind a paywall to where people either feel like they can't interact with it, or more importantly in today's day and age, they won't interact with it because you're a pretentious cunt for forcing them to pay for your music that they could just download for free somewhere else.
Right.
So it's like that's not the move. We live in the age of crowdfunding now, to where it's like your efforts would be better spent building a community of people that are actually interested in seeing you continue to do this thing that you're doing, finding ways to make them feel like they're a part of it, and then giving them shit in return that makes them feel like they want to invest in it to see it grow and continue to go further.
Dude, I've been giving out
this way.
Sorry.
I was just gonna give a shout out to all of my bosses in Patreon. It's like
that's what I'm saying. This is a prime example of what I'm talking about.
I mean, how did all the Renaissance paintings get made? It wasn't because fucking Raphael's out there painting and fucking out on the street.
No, it was because Deja Arnold gave fucking money per month.
That's right. It's because of
on Patreon.com.
Okay, maybe it was because the Pope was maybe that it was patrons, right? And this is like a true thing. It's like the people in the litter box, in our Patreon litter box, they're like in it, and they've done exactly what you said, where they're like, hey, we think this is worth
up and snort straight lines of it, dude.
How about snort the SKATCAST right into the nose holes?
Like one of the guys, Ryan Strong. I mean, that guy
love that dude so much.
That guy. I mean, he's going out of his way, taking his own time to do his own art and craft and brand it with SKATCAST, and it's like.
He's spreading the scat with a poop knife, bro. I mean, that couldn't be any better. That's the best thing in the world.
Like, dude, that's like the coolest thing in the world.
He took like a half dozen or more of those to the Dan Cummins show.
Jake's face when you said he's spreading the scat with the poop knife.
I was like, what are you talking about?
We should probably say,
yeah, for sure, dude.
I don't think
that's some new slang. I don't know.
I don't think Jake is too keen on what we do here at SKATCAST. It's not necessarily about poop.
It's mostly about
when
poop.
I was at Time Suck, I was called the script keeper. So I wrote for Dan, and I just was like, I've always done this audio theater stuff where I do cartoons that you can't see. So it's like radio cartoons.
Cartoons,
and that's what's
for your earballs.
That's right. So that's what SKATCAST is. So I called it Script Keeper's Audio Theater. And then I looked at it, I was like, scat, oh, great. And then I was like, SKATCAST, that makes sense. And then da-da-da. And now when you look up SKATCAST, it's... depending on how you spell it, you're either coming to find some funnies in these guys, or you look at a lot of poop stuff. A lot of poop fetish stuff. But we're happy to be in a space that's kind of, there's not a lot of non-poop stuff in the space.
When your moniker is a kitty butthole.
Yeah, our logo is...
It's hard to decipher between.
Our logo is the asterisk, which, I mean, if you look at your cat's butt, looks like a little asterisk.
It's in there.
Kitty butthole.
That's where asterisks come from.
Kitty.
Jesus
My
Christ.
NSA guy needs to know. All right, anything more in the music? I mean, shit's changed. I'm glad it's changed. It's so much better now.
I am too. It's
have
harder
thousands
because
of people
there's
listen.
no golden ticket to the chocolate factory, you know. But I don't know how great that ever was. I feel like people look at that with rose-colored glasses, but it's way better now.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd rather make less money and have
Better
complete
connections.
control over my shit and better connections and not be told what I am and not what I am and am not allowed to do, you know, than just fucking be a puppet for some fucking record label, you know.
Right.
Not that I would never
Dance
sign to a
monkey
label,
dance.
but I'd have to have a pretty good contract and 100%
no
freedom if I did.
No
lawyer.
record label wants.
It's not something that's on my radar that I'm really interested in.
You got to
at
sell
all,
a lot of
you
fucking
know, at this
records
point.
and make a lot of money, and not even records. You just got to make a lot of money to have any kind of, you know, where they're like, oh yeah, you can keep the rights to your music.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, the big thing they want is those residuals. So you know, so
My version of a record deal would be some large entity approaching me with some offer, and I'd go, "You can pay me $50,000, and I'll put your logo on all my shit."
right,
Yeah,
that's
like a sponsor.
yeah, exactly. It's like, well, we started a little magazine for our band, and you can buy an ad, you know, and that's.
I'll do you a favor, Sony.
If you want what we got, I know you got Beyonce, but you don't got us. I don't know.
You don't got this acoustic prog rock alternative.
Nobody's ever played acoustic prog
wank
rock.
music that I write.
It's crazy. All right, so let's move along, and this is your topic, Jeff.
Yeah, it's kind of mine and Shaiden's topic.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm
my topic.
I'm gonna
Fuck both
fucking
of you.
talk about it, and I bet Jake will too. But
Everybody's
this is
got something to say on this, I'm pretty sure.
this is just a random working from home.
Yeah. So since the pandemic, epidemic, fucking whatever the fuck it was, the COVID bullshit, a lot of people started working from home, which there are some positives to, I think.
Yeah.
And
Being
a lot of
home.
people stayed working from home. But I'm wondering, so now that we're where we are a couple years out, or I don't know, are we a couple years out?
I don't know.
Ish.
In California, they just
Yeah,
started
whatever.
up some
We're
new
still
shit.
in it.
Besides the COVID shit, we've had people working from home now for quite a while. You are included. Shaiden's included. Is music your main industry income?
Yeah.
So essentially, work from home, go out and do some shows.
That's not working at all. I'm gonna go to the fucking
Well, you got to do all
bar.
the bullshit. But
the majority of it, like I said, is sending emails and shit.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then me leaving my job, who I was out in everybody's home for a long time.
Getch works from everyone's home.
and not working out and spending
My
a lot of
home
time
was
on
your home
home.
a lot of time.
There are a lot of positives, but I think there's a lot of negatives too. And I'm sure there's people out that listen to this that have changed from being out within the workforce into working from home. And I let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Is it good? Is it bad?
It's got to be mixed.
What do you need to?
I want to know.
What do you need to do if you are working from
I
home?
want to hear from you first, Zach, because not only do you work from home, but you you do so more voraciously than anybody else I know that works from home.
This is the first time I've left the house in
this,
like 3 weeks.
And this is coming from somebody who, like, I work my ass off at my job, especially this month. I'm just getting fucking hammered. But I also kind of love my job, you know? So it's like, and I imagine there's some parallel there with you too. But
I love my job
I want
so
to
much.
I want to know how it is for you, not only in the way that you manage your time, but also in how do you think it affects your mental state, you know?
Yeah, there's some. There can be some serious, some physical issues. There can be some psychological issues for sure. Because
You go hard in the paint, dude.
I do.
And that's coming from somebody who goes hard in said paint.
yeah.
and by and large,
are you worried about my
we all
mental health?
we all acknowledge and come from the basis that we need people in our lives, and we need interaction in our lives. Most people do. We can hashtag not all everything, right?
For sure, absolutely.
So anyway, yeah. So tell us about it.
Well, I don't know if there's much to say. I mean, I love my job, and it goes by so fast. 'cause I
Tell
just
your
get
audience how much you hate doing what you do.
0%. 0%.
That's the right answer.
I fucking love it. So I don't know. I do go hard to paint. The time management thing is weird because, you know, if you're working for a company, it's like you go until they say to go home or tell your set clock. I have zero of that. So it's like, okay, I can work till fucking 6 a.m. or right until it's due and stuff. And I do. And I love it.
That's a different kind of person, though, man, because some people, when left to their own devices, like without a taskmaster or a time clock, they won't look
Discipline
at it
goes
that
out
way.
the door.
They won't. They'll look at it like, well, I could just work for 3 hours a day and then fucking play Xbox.
Oh, if I was working for Timesuck, I mean, I'll be honest here. Like, SKATCAST to me is a lot more fun than Timesuck because I did a lot of hard work for Timesuck. Working at home during the pandemic, I didn't really work at home because I was on Is We Dumb and I did the production stuff and I did Secret Suck. But a lot of the times I could be at home even before the pandemic, and you're tempted to be like, when it's not for you and it's not your shit. And if your integrity's a little low, like mine or whatever, but it's like, can I push this out until tomorrow? Or the discipline for me is weird
because the old no, thank you.
no, thank you. Discipline for me, it's about how it's maybe not discipline because I love it, so it's not hard to be disciplined.
I think it is. It's still discipline.
It is, yeah, it is. Yeah. Especially when you're doing it. I mean, this is our
when you do something you love for
week.
A job, like. You might love it, but it still is a chore.
Oh, it's back to the Songsmith series where I love playing my music and other people's music and all the covers that I do and stuff. And I love seeing all the artists and even listening to them, even though I'm not super into that anymore. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that. I don't want to.
So is it? Let me ask you this.
Side of that too.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, flip side of that is not being able to turn it off. It's just fucking working too much and being like, oh, I could do more. Like sometimes I wish I had like a 9 to 5 so I could just go home and after 5 o'clock I can just relax. And it's hard for me to relax. I'm always thinking about doing more shit.
When I worked for Dan, in my lifetime I've not had a ton of 9 to 5 jobs. It was so nice to go work for Dan, and then if I wanted to, I never really did. I'd always kind of take my work over the weekends, but I had a weekend, and it was like weird because when you work for yourself as a musician, you're like Friday, Saturday, Sunday is like my time to do stuff. And so whenever your weekend is, but when you work for yourself, I haven't had a weekend, and I can't even think of a vacation. That's not happening.
So is it fair to say you're so busy you don't have the time to have any of those mental breakdowns or be lonely or have depression or anything?
I don't.
You deal with things so differently than I do. Like you kind of like to be left alone. Again, you were the only child, and your parents put you in a fucking kennel and fed you dog treats. So I can understand.
Differently, he's built differently.
I'm a douche. But where are you going with what? What are you saying?
No, so it doesn't seem to affect you as much as maybe it would me. I think that you can get to a point when you're working at home, if you work too much, where you actually become very antisocial. Oh, it could happen.
What's the word? Agoraphobia, where you're like you don't want to leave the house and you're fucking. Is that the word?
Yeah.
I had a car wreck not that long ago.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, not to interrupt, but like, did your parents really put you in a kennel and feed you dog?
Oh boy,
I'm not gonna be able to.
Yes, they did. Jake's like, we're not gonna walk.
That isn't the normal.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to focus on anything until that gets confronted.
Our listeners have heard this story, but so my parents owned a pet store, Thunder Mountain Dog Supplies, for like 27 years or something like that.
It was really premium dog food.
It was the good shit. It was the high level stuff, right? It was bougie as fuck. But it started small, and I watched them grow and stuff. But I was like their little tester kid because I was like 5 when they opened the business, and I worked for them the whole time, or I was there anyway the whole time. And they're like, this dog food's really good. It's not like the store bought food. See, we'll feed our kid. And so they'd feed me dog biscuits, and I literally
get up here and eat this dog.
Okay, but they didn't
make him sit and stay, and
no, there was none of that. But there was like a little counter, where the cash register is, and my head would just pop up, and I'd eat a little biscuit, and then I'd go down. And it was just like what? But they didn't lock me in a kennel.
Okay, yeah, because the way you made that sound was like, they leave for like a month, and they lock you in a fucking kennel with like wet dog food.
The wet dog food wasn't my favorite. Not a fan of the canned dog food.
He's like, I ate it, but it wasn't my favorite.
I'll eat it still, but I'm not a fan. No, my parents had a couple stores of Thunder Mountain at one point, and so when we were opening the second store, and for the whole time that it was open, my parents, they're like, I wasn't old enough to work. I was old enough to help like move dog food and stuff, but I wasn't old enough. I was a nuisance, so they put me in. It was an old bank that we bought, that we rented or whatever, leased, and it was a bank vault, and so they locked me in the vault to keep me away from whatever. It wasn't to keep people away from
kind of a kennel. They gave me blankets and water.
I'd sit there and I'd look at this little black and white TV and watch Perry Mason and fucking like Voltron on a black and white tiny little portable, and I was happy as shit. I was just in there drawing and stuff, and people are like, oh, that's cruel. I'm like, no, I would have had to hang out with my mom if I had any other way. It was fine.
I was gonna say you should love CPS. I guess we were talking about that off the mics. Was when we were talking about
Right,
that.
yeah.
Way to break the fourth wall, bro.
Fourth wall broken. But yeah, so I mean, my parents were a little unorthodox. I had 8 dogs that lived in the house, all labs, and just a weird childhood.
He was one of them.
I was the 9th lab, and not the most popular of the labs in the fam.
Nobody bought him.
Yeah, right.
But you were a
I got
dog.
the good basketball shoes.
You were a dog they took care of.
Yeah, they cared.
Gotcha.
I had
It's,
3 names
it's-
instead of just 1 now.
It's so good that I wasn't me as I am now back then going into your parents' store, because I would have abused that shit so much. I would have gone in and I'd be like, well, I'm a really discerning dog food aficionado. I only feed my dogs the best thing. So what I'm trying the full range of your products. What do you recommend? They'd be like, oh, well, this one's really, really good. I'd be like, I don't know. Will the child eat it?
All right, let me bring the boy out.
Zach! Like once a week.
He was the
You
gimp of
peek your
dog
head
food.
around the doorway and see me and go,
Rank you, Raggy. Fuck. Yeah, that kind of sucked. But I think we started talking about working from home.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So Shaiden, now you.
Yeah, sorry for that.
I'm happy to dish on my life. Don't worry about it.
we never get tired of
So you've been working at home for how long now? But yours was
I-
a new company that a new job that you transitioned to.
Yeah.
And brought you home.
Yeah, and I weirdly enough, I didn't start my working from home thing because of the pandemic.
Right.
It was just like happened to just be one of those unicorn jobs. But I've been doing it for a year now, and it's been mostly awesome for me. But I'm kind of like Zach in that I'm just like I will work myself to death if I feel that it's necessary, and I will smile the whole way through it because I'm just like I kind of thrive on getting shit done and kicking ass, you know. So, but
That's a rad employee to have, by the way.
2 years.
You're welcome, Dan. Sorry,
It's
I was like that too.
Maybe intent to cut you off, but I guess what I'm looking for is what disciplines do you put into your life to make sure you take a shower at least, regularly, and get some exercise and eat healthy and
I don't
actually
I only
have
I only
personal
shower when I
relationships.
know that you guys are coming.
Fair enough. Okay.
I haven't touched water for 4 weeks. I think.
I struggle with that. Not showering, but I struggle with that too. I like showering because it's like a break, but
yeah.
but
I like showering too.
yeah, no,
It's yours. You can
I'll
wash
drive
it as
myself
long and as
fucking.
fast as you want to.
I'll work myself till I burn myself out completely, and then I'll just like lie on the couch for like a day and kind of just rejuvenate myself, and then just get back at it and fucking keep
Tell
going
me,
until I lose my mind.
is that the
Do you
best
kick your
day?
own ass when you're not doing something?
I hate, dude. I'm so bad at it, man. Like, I feel guilty for feeling guilty about this, and I
Right.
should, But I'll be watching a movie with my girlfriend, and I'll be like, fuck, I need to like go respond to like messages or go finish a song or like plan out like some shit that we're recording, and like it never stops. It's just like even when I'm there, it's hard for me to be there. You know what I mean?
That's something I've definitely lost somewhere along the way too, is the ability to actually relax. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
Your
it's
space
not
of-
relaxing. It's uncomfortable.
That's
Yeah.
the other thing. Your space of comfort, your space of, well, I mean, you live alone, but essentially you've got your cats for family. Your space of comfort and family and time for yourself is no longer that. Now this is your business. So how do you separate the two?
Yeah.
How
Well,
do you,
even before though, like when I was working for the car rental place, I was the same way. Like my coping mechanism somewhere along the line became I'm just gonna kick ass as much as I possibly can, even to the detriment of my own well-being, if that's what I feel like
Sleep
doing.
when you're dead.
And I force myself. I'm not oblivious to that's the reality. So I force myself to stop and take some time to just try to decompress. But I find for a long time I can't, like when I'm decompressing, like if I'm like I'm gonna force myself to sit down and play God of War for 3 hours, it's like that is just the task that I'm making myself do. I'm not actually relaxing. I'm just sitting there thinking about all these things that I could be doing, and then I'm just like going through this exercise of fending them off. Like, no, you're supposed to be relaxing, air quotes, right now, and I don't relax at all.
It goes back to the addiction thing, I think, too.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And also, it's like a little peer pressure too. In the back of my mind, because I actually like after Thursday, I can chill on Friday and stuff. But in the back of my mind, it's like, somebody's working harder than you right now.
Yeah,
it's just that
same with
hustle
me.
culture where you're
especially
just like,
with musicians, man. It's
Yeah.
already so hard to fucking make it.
Because
It's
you
like,
know
I gotta
that you
outwork
know some
everybody.
psychos that are out there that are like, he hasn't slept for 6 years and he's fucking almost there, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to do that.
And I don't know if you guys are like this at all either, but I'm also like if I try to sit down and relax, like I'm always so stressed out all the time about all the shit I got to get done. I'm like, but if I just go get this done and I just work my ass off and go get that thing done, then I'll be able to relax and I won't have anything to stress about. But then as soon as it's done, that never happens.
Do you know,
it just gets worse. It's just a rabbit hole.
Tomorrow never comes.
Do you remember the game? Maybe the best way, Price is Right, Plinko. You ever see that game?
Price is wrong.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen Happy Gilmore.
Okay, well, my wife and I would call it. It's basically like a ball drops, and then some moves, and then it'll drop into a new thing in the same. So it'll be like a little moving circle, I guess, or something, and the ball will change.
People like
basically,
basically has Plinko at it.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's a rotating fucking. And so the way I look at it is, you have a ball in your little Plinko spot where it's the main spot that it falls, and then you move the ball, and then another one falls in the same spot. So it's always Plinko. You're always getting a new stress because that's like your pattern. Like you're patternistic. So it's not about the stressor that you're dealing with. It's about the fact that that's how you live, is from stress to stress to stress. That's why entertainment's kind of a dick, like a shitty industry. Like
I mean, my dick is.
But like, but think about it like, sorry, you're good. But like, think about, I don't know if this is like you, I don't know if you've gotten over stage fright or whatever, if you ever had stage fright. But for me, every time I book a show, especially if it's like, oh God,
Jake just
you
plays
played the
with
show
his
that we
capo.
did, the
That's how
Bing
he gets
Crosby
over
show,
it. Yeah.
where it's like, you get one song, or am I warmed up? I got a guy with fucking appendicitis, whatever. For the 2 days before that, it wasn't fun at all for me. It was just absolute bullshit in my head where I'm just fighting this like insecurity and all this silly shit. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's my point, guys?
I don't know.
I guess went all over the place.
No, it's just like you feel like you got to be more prepared, and so you just want to work harder to get more prepared. But
I did want to ask you, like, okay, so when you work really hard, how come you can't take that day off? Like, do you feel like you don't deserve the day off, or is it the other people are hustling?
I think it's kind of like I said. It's like that. I know if I take a day off, I'm going to be super stressed out about all the shit I got to get done the next day. Like if I try to take a Friday off, then it's like, well, then fucking Saturday's going to come around. I'm going to be right back at it. I might as well just work and then take Saturday off. But then Saturday there's shit to do, so it's like I'll take Sunday off, and then it never ends.
So it's Plinko, like, and you just want to leave yourself alone.
I just want to get it all. Well, I just want to get it all over with as soon as I can, so that way I can relax. But it's never ending fucking trap. You don't get it done.
It's your pattern.
There's this piece of it too where you prioritize things that matter the most to you moment to moment. And for me, it's like, okay, well, I need to get all this work done for work so that I'm ahead of the ball and still look like a badass in that department. I need to work on this thing for this recording that I'm doing. I need to make sure I have all the shit ready and squared away, both in my head and, as far as equipment being packed for going to do our podcast and bringing something to the table for shit to talk about. And then you get to this point where it's like, yeah, but I also need to do my dishes and like vacuum my house and go to the grocery store. And it's like, I'll push that shit to the last possible moment most of the time. And then I'll get to the point where it's a choice between, okay, I'm this close to burnout. Am I going to relax or am I going to do my dishes and fucking go to the store? And then it's like, fuck, dude. Like now I just spent my quote unquote unwinding time just doing housework and shit and going to get gas.
So it would be reasonable, if possible, to discipline your day. If you want to have a 12-hour workday, that's great. Work your 12 hours. But you need to take some time, like, okay, and then I'm going to, I guess, even working from home, I think it would be reasonable to keep yourself into some sort of discipline of normal life. I wake up, I have coffee. I take a shower.
Schedule.
I have my breakfast. I go to work. I'm going to work from this time to this time, and then I'm done. And then I have my
that part right there. That's how it
the
falls
done.
apart.
Yeah, because I was with you up until the done part. Yeah, but
I know when I'm gonna start.
I wake up every morning and I'm like, I start my day, like watch like Trailer Park Boys and eat some food and like drink a cup of coffee, and that's like my relaxing time for the whole. That's my relaxing time.
So that's
the whole
that's
day.
it for the day.
Well, and then at the end of the night, like I'll I'll like smoke some weed with my girlfriend, and we'll just get stoned and watch.
So you get some chill time every night.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
but
good.
even then, like I said, I'm thinking about work unless I just get stoned enough to not be able to, which is like not healthy, especially with the whole. My sponsor's cool with me smoking weed, so no one else can say shit.
So everybody's talking. Do you guys want to chill? Like, do you feel like this might be wrong that we're working this hard, or
part
what?
of me eternally believes that I want to chill, but but every time I've ever tried to chill, I don't.
I'm all for the
end
hustle.
up liking it.
I'm all for the hustle. I am.
I miss skateboarding a lot. That was a huge fucking part of my life.
Yeah, that's a nice little zen.
And I don't have it. Yeah, it is. It's super therapeutic and it's exercise, and it was such a big part of my life. I want to do that.
So I challenge you. I actually have a challenge for you guys.
Okay.
I'm all for the hustle.
I'm keeping my dick in my pants. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, not that. I'm all for the hustle. I'm all for building your business, getting your work done. But I challenge you to also remember that you got to take care of yourself. And you intentionally make blocks of time for yourself. And it's not just to sit around and jerk off. I mean, do positive things in your own life. Make sure you are taking care of yourself. Make sure you are eating healthy. Make sure you are getting exercise, and make sure that you are taking time to maintain those relationships that are important in your life.
Yeah.
You have to block that out, or that is going to be gone.
So there's wisdom in what you're saying, and in essence, you're right. But I want to point out also that is the equivalent with yourself of scheduling sex night with your significant other. Like
we haven't been married before.
No, that's important. That's a good metaphor. It is because you never fucking you never know what mood you're gonna be in. You never know like what you're gonna be. Yeah,
get married first, and then come back and have that conversation.
Dude, there's a reason I haven't gotten married, and that's one of them. That's it, because I don't really dig that shit. And I'm not saying that everybody who's married just fucking the romance goes away, but the romance isn't the core component either. True. I've never seen a functional marriage that was the center point. But when it comes to myself, if I'm like from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight, when I've finished all my chores, that is when I have time for me. I automatically hate it. I'm just like, no, I don't. I had to schedule time to fucking give a shit about myself. Why? I might as well just keep fucking working.
Well, and you also you don't know the same thing as that. You might just not be in the mood to take a break. You might be stressed out about something, and it's like, fuck that. I'm gonna get this done.
Work, and you're like, dude, if I don't do this today, it's more hell tomorrow. So fuck my me time.
Right, exactly. You sacrifice me time over and over, and then
it's a good theory, and I agree with you to the point where if you don't remain mindful of it, then you get into this point where you're just constantly eroding away.
And you guys know, I mean, I was a hard worker for a lot of years. I mean, overtime between 40 to 80 hours every 2 weeks. I mean, mostly I was escaping my personal life in all reality, but to do that and then to not work anymore. I mean, I've kind of had to learn how to relive life myself.
You brought this up. Linger on why you brought this up.
Having it was really just conversation with Shaiden, but I had a perspective from my own life too. It's like I went from essentially the hustle in a different way than you guys
big
are.
Time though,
to
overtime,
shutting that off and then not knowing what the hell to do with myself. And within the last 9 months, I've created enough busyness just with new family and learning new things and getting to be the role of a father and I have so many goals now that I want to reach. I mean, I just keep stacking them up, and I just constantly feel like I'm climbing up this mountain. And I'm addicted to chaos. My addiction is chaos.
Right.
I mean, that is my drug.
We're all Sisyphus, just pushing the rock up the mountain, and it falls again.
Right. But my chaos is different now. It's not within my personal relationships. My chaos is wanting to achieve new heights and new goals and try new things in life. And if I have too much downtime from that, that's where I get frustrated.
So you went from a pattern that you had for 30 years ish. I mean, with different
really more just one particular career.
But so you've had a pattern for the last 5-10 years probably, or 5 years, including everything. Then you switched it completely. The whole pattern, every bit of it changed. So I mean, that's got to be pretty unique. So that's way different than working from home. That's like, so what's it like to change your life 100%, 180?
Well, it's.
And you had a positive life, and you moved to another positive life. So
right. Because of the chaos, I love it. It's been definitely a learning curve, and now I'm just so excited to see how many things I can do to get back into the hustle like you guys. And I'm starting it, and part of what we're doing here is part of that. But I do actually get to do a lot of personal goals that kind of are for me as far as working out and dieting, and I get to take that and, well, what can I do with this to teach other people to do that in their lives?
So you're creating a new pattern for yourself, and you're trying to find the pieces that go into the daily. That's kind of cool.
Right, and I find now that I'm getting increasingly busier, and a lot of that is just in the parenting part and trying to win, trying to figure out that puzzle of kids, which is so much damn fun. I fucking love it.
It's a good attitude to have.
It's so great, And I was, admittedly, I was not the best parent my first time around because I was so busy parenting the community.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, now I don't have to deal with the community anymore. I actually get to have a family. So it's really cool.
So these kids are in handcuffs.
But it does bring
all
its
the
own
time.
it does bring its own stresses, and I still have to learn to take time for myself. And I think as I get older, I recognize how important that is. And it's not taking hot baths and listening to, fucking whatever, Enya and fucking reading 50 Shades of Grey. It's taking time for myself to figure out which direction I want to go and how I'm going to get there, and things that I want to improve in my life, and keeping direction, going that direction, but understanding, take a time out, and it's not going to happen right now. It takes time to get there. My life is also different. I have somebody who's so super supportive and on the same road that I am, and we tend to be going in the same direction.
It helps with it helps your patience if you have somebody around that's patient.
Yeah, she's such a bad motherfucker. Goddamn.
Yeah,
but
we'll have her on one day.
I am so excited to have that. Her story is going to blow people's minds.
Yeah,
I think to kind of put a bow around this shit, because I was thinking more about what you were talking about, Jeff, a few minutes ago. I think that it really comes down to correct prioritization of things, and more specifically needing to make shit that's good for you and shit that helps you to whatever recharging looks like. I mean, it's like people like to say, "Oh, you got to relax to be able to relax," and that's.
This is relaxing.
True. This is relaxing,
but
we're doing shit.
Yeah.
So, but like, consciously make that higher up on your priority list is, I think, what you were really driving at.
Yes.
And I agree with that, because that's what I have to do, and I check myself on that a lot, because I'm kind of admittedly self-deprecating on the inside to a pretty severe degree. Like I'm by default pretty much never my highest priority, not even close. Like I'm usually just like, everything else that it needs to happen, all the other people I give a shit about, they come before me. But you have to school yourself on that shit and go, well, I have to come before that shit once in a while, or else there's not going to be any of me to cater to the rest of the shit.
To agree with you, and on a different perspective, I had that career where my whole life was dealing with other people's bullshit. I didn't have to, and then having your traumatic incidents and all that stuff, and you don't have time to deal with it. Now I have all the time in the world to deal with it, and I'm going to tell you that there were probably some things I could have done over the last 27 years of my career to address it, and now it all hits at once,
dude.
So like, I have things that happen. It's like, oh fuck. I guess what I'm saying is I'm having rebound effects that I can see not just happen because of my career. It can happen in anybody's life if you get too far into the hustle and you don't take care of yourself.
Yeah,
I guess that's what I'm driving.
That shit will always catch up with you when
I think fear drives a lot of it too, though. Like kind of what you were saying about, like, there's someone out there working harder than me. Like I definitely feel a lot of pressure to, like, there's not a lot of money in music, and this is like the only thing that gives me a sense of purpose. It's like the only thing that I have that makes me want to be here, you know what I mean? And but I also have a girlfriend who I love the fuck out of, and she's awesome, and like, if I'd want to be able to support her someday, and like have a family maybe if that happens, and it's a hard thing to put yourself in a position to do that with music, especially like, I'm 27, I should have been doing this when I was 17, and I know I'm still young, but that window is just, it gets smaller, as time goes on, and so it's fucking scary, and so it's like,
every musician, when they hit 27, they're like, oh fuck, a lot of the best ones of all time are like gone.
Yeah, and even that with relationships,
but it's different now.
If you don't, I would tell people, if you don't pay attention to them, somebody else will. So if it's important to you, you better fucking take the time and take care of it.
Well, and I get what you're saying, Jake. I've thought about that a shit ton over the years, and I still do, where it's just like, I don't want to be one of these fuckers that's sitting around playing in the corner of a bar, looking back, going, I wonder what it would be like if I had actually busted my ass as hard as I know I could have.
Yeah, at least I'll be able to say when I'm 50, if this doesn't work out, at least I'll be able to say I did everything I fucking could. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And that's good. And I support that. And I'm not saying don't fucking work as hard. I'm saying
famous.
Work as hard. It's just, I'm just asking you to do more, quite frankly. Work as hard and take care of yourself. Make sure that you're doing those daily things. Because if you don't, it will become a detriment in your life.
Yeah. But also, like, success isn't, for an artist, success isn't like touring and stadiums and selling millions of records. No. To me, it's like, I wrote my best song today. And the people that I play my music with are like, fuck yeah. And then we get this energy when we play it, whenever, if it's in the rehearsal space or if it's in front of 1,000 people. It's like, I don't know, that's to me the end all. Yeah. So life is, it seems like all these people have shit figured out. All the ROI guys and all the investment people, they're all like, we got it all figured out. And it's like, I don't think anybody does. Like, the things that you get from music, the things that I find valuable from music, not one bit has been a penny. Yeah. It's always been the people I've met in my life, from just whether they're musicians or not, just the circumstances and stuff. And it's like the ride. I said the thing again.
You did it in the show.
It's the ride is the thing at the end, because your trophies no one cares about. Your records, I mean, those are important to other people. Like, your importance with the record is done. Like, you made the songs in your bedroom and you made it and you recorded it.
Fucking do it.
Yeah, now it's important to whoever's left.
It's like I said earlier, are you going to chase the momentary high, or are you going to chase the lasting substance? You know, and it's like, it's not, and the two aren't mutually exclusive. You can have both, but one is far more worthy of your focus than the other. But
also, you know, like, when you're kind of like, my position is like, I don't think there's anything out there I could do that I would feel fulfilled with. You know, I don't, like, not to get too dark, but I've tried to, you know, I've been in some pretty dark spots in my life, and this is the thing that's gotten me out of it, you know.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm right there with you.
And I
1,000%.
I don't know if I'd fucking be here if it weren't for music.
I wouldn't,
you know,
100%.
I wouldn't. Absolutely wouldn't. You know, I shouldn't be here. You know, but I found, like, I got back into music at the right time, and it fucking saved my life. It gave me something to do. It gave me purpose, and I need to be able to make enough money to support, you know, myself. Like, when I'm older or whatever, like 20, 30 years from now, I need to have an income where if I do want to have a family, that's something I can do. You know, if I marry my girlfriend, which is a good chance that'll happen, you know, like, the financial side of it, even though it's like dirty and shitty, and I don't care about it, I don't care about having money, but, like, I do care about setting myself up for a future that is sustainable, you know? Yeah. And so the financial side, even though it sucks, it is something, like, you got, like, at least for me, I really have to think about, you know, like, how can I make money from this, you know?
That's wise, man.
We talked about this last week. It's like, in the Hindu faith, like, one of the tenets is, like, make money, because you need to have time to be able to sit and think, to be able to become enlightened, or, you know, to go further in your path. And I agree. It's like, I mean, it takes away working for a shitty job. It depends on the job and stuff, but you got to have that time, however you do it. But as a musician, like, this is what we were talking about. It's like, we have kind of taken an involuntary vow of poverty on some level. So we live without stuff. Yeah. And so that kind of gives us time. Because most of my life, I've been able to just kind of read, and I could write songs all the time. I've written, you know, most of the time I'd write 50, 100 songs a year, because people in my life were like, he's a songwriter, just let him do his thing and stuff. And so I'm not enlightened or any kind of special or anything, but I got lots of time to think, lots of time to read and to listen to other people think and read, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I think that comes either with money or deciding that you can live with way less. Yeah. And I mean, I was writing on couches and stuff for years so that I could sit and read and write. So
yeah, it's a weird, I agree with you, Zach. And it's kind of a weird mechanism, because your disposition plays a lot into that. Like,
big time.
I've been in those positions too, where people were like, dude, you're good at what you're doing, and I want you to have the opportunity to do it more than you are right now. So let me help you out. And like you said, you can surf my couch, or you can live in my spare bedroom and do the thing and just do it a whole lot. But what I found about myself was
that's not why I let you live in my spare bedroom.
I know shit. It was the blowjobs. It was the blowjobs.
God, that whisker tickles.
But what I learned about myself in those situations was that I can't do that and also create the art that I want to create, because when if I don't feel that I'm contributing in a meaningful manner and that I'm self-sufficient to a certain degree, I can't, my focus will not remain on my art. My focus goes on, I have to do whatever I have to do to pull myself up out of this and not be a freeloader, you know. And that's partially a product of my upbringing, but also just part of my nature. But then on the flip side of that coin, I've gotten a lot of shit from other artists along the way that are, you know, they like quit their day job and they're just hustling all the time and playing 5 shows a week, and they're like, well, dude, like, you know, you're great, but you only play like, you know, 3 or 4 times a month, and like that's not enough. You're never gonna make it, quote, you know, make it doing that. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that, man, because I
the year before you played 150 shows or whatever it was.
Yeah, you know, so I've had times where I played tons of shows, and I've had times where I played very little shows, and my preference between the two, for me, I'm not saying this is the way that everybody should go. It's just the way that works the best with my constitution. But I would rather have a job that I don't hate, that makes me enough money to be on my own and not have to depend on anybody for anything, and then just burn the candle at both ends and work as hard as I can in the spaces between and manage my life so that it's not taking away from my music as much as it possibly could be while still maintaining that stability. And some people would look at that and go, well, that's a fucking compromise. Like, you're not all in. You know, what would happen if you're all in? And I fucking wondered that myself. But on the other side of that coin, it's like, I just know
you're
I
not
can't.
the kind of person to do it that way.
I just can't. I just can't live that way.
You
like,
are all in.
Having this house to live in. I mean, it's just a fucking apartment that I rent, but it's a place that I fucking created it. I worked my ass off for it. I don't owe anybody for it except my landlord.
Right.
But I pay that motherfucker.
Yeah, you do the best with what you got.
Yeah, you know. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think
quality
it's
over quantity is my philosophy.
I think it's gross that in general society, at the end of our lives, a lot of people they're valued on your stuff and things and the money that you made, and I think I call bullshit on that. It's about the type of person that you were, but. I mean, I guess if you don't know me, you don't really know who I am. So so what else do you have to evaluate me on and the kind of life that I lived? So, but if you don't know me, I really don't give a fuck what your opinion is either. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who gives a who cares what some fucking stranger has to say about your life? Actually, if you know me in
general, I don't really give a fuck what your opinion is. But I gave you my opinion
like an hour ago, and you told me to fuck off.
I did.
But also, just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying earlier too. Like, cause like me personally, I'm super aware, and it sounds like you are too, Shaiden, about like how detrimental my work habits are to my well-being, you know. Mm-hmm. But part of me is kind of just like, well, a big part of me is like, well, you'll deal with that once you fucking put yourself in a position where you know you're not gonna like lose everything in your like with the music stuff. There's if I'm fucking poor for the rest of my life, like I could risk losing my relationships I care about. I could risk not being able to support a family and shit like that. So right now I just feel like I'm in.
So you're working
like
for security.
I'm like in fight or flight. Like once I'm like, I build this thing enough where I can breathe, then hopefully I'll be smart enough to do it then. But I'm not really in that position right now.
So let me ask you this, Jake. If you stood to, if it was for some reason, and this is a shitty hypothetical, I know, but if it was for some reason between your music and the shit you were doing with it and all those other things that you said you stood to lose, which would you pick?
It's a hard question, man, because it's like like my girlfriend Andrea, I love her to fucking death, you know, and she's like the most important person in the world, you know what I mean? But if I didn't have music, I don't know if I'd continue wanting to be here, to be in a relationship with her.
That to me,
if I didn't have all this stuff. So I guess that's like the driving force for my life. It's like what's keeping me here.
Well, I think it's important to put the things that you value and value yourself first above any other relationship. And it took me a lot of years to learn that. 50 years exactly to learn that.
I really do feel like that's the real artistic way to be on this earth. Like a lot of people can do art, but it was Christopher Hitchens who's a writer, and he was more of a nonfiction writer.
Yeah,
so he's
Christopher
Hitchens, less of an
he
artist.
was awesome.
Yeah, but he basically was like, you know,
just scored so many points. Did you see his eyes light up?
whoa,
Your best friend.
No, but he was like he was always saying, you know, he has a lot of friends that are writers too, and it's like you wake up. He would say about himself, he's like, I wake up and that's what I want to do. If I didn't have that, there's nothing here that I want that's even close to that. And that's how I feel too. It's like I wake up for the art's sake, and if I didn't have to do art, I love the people in my life. I love my wife and my kids and stuff, and I love my friends and all that stuff. But this thing that I feel like, I'm like you said, like a purpose. A person, man or woman without a purpose is really a rudderless boat in a sea of shit.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't be me if I stopped playing music. Andrea would probably fucking leave me anyway. You know what I mean? Like I would just be
You'd be a piece of shit.
Yeah,
right?
I was. I don't know why she fucking stayed with me so long before I started getting back into it.
I'll tell you why.
Because I took like 15 years off.
Because she saw. Well, besides your
Thanks, man. You guys don't see him. He's a good looking dude.
Yeah, besides you're a handsome fucker, she saw your potential in you way before you did. You finally caught on.
She absolutely did. Yeah, and
We'll take a.
She's a smart.
We'll take a group photo before Jake takes off.
Yeah.
Put it on there.
I'm not.
You can swim. You guys can swim. I did want to mention there's a couple things. I wanted to ask you a question a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask real quick on the same subject. Like, so for me, and we're all songwriters, the more comfortable, so back to Dan, I mean, the job at Time Suck paid really well, especially for a musician and stuff. And I wrote like 5 songs for the 3 years that I worked there. And I usually will write a lot more. And they're not all good. Most of them are crap. But I wrote 5 or 6 songs. I don't know why, but I was comfortable. All my bills were paid for the first time in a long time. Easily paid. I was saving money, all that stuff. I don't know. Most of my life I've sat on the razor's edge of financial ruin. And I think most of the best art I've ever created has been in that anxiety of the razor's edge of not knowing necessarily next month if I'm going to have the full rent.
Struggle
or that
makes
kind of
art
stuff.
for sure.
Right?
So you kick your brain into overdrive and you're thinking about everything
right,
at that
but
time.
I wonder if instinctively as artists, if we know that, where it's like you won't write as well if you're fucking satisfied all the time. I think
if you're naturally artistic, you just sort of internalize that subconsciously, like even when you're just really little, you know. Like I remember times in my childhood where I would like purposely create strife or push people away from me because the place that put me in mentally was like I was able to do things, think about things a certain way, create things that I was just like super attached to, and that didn't seem to happen as often when I was just chilling.
Isn't that weird?
You know. So and I've noticed that in my adulthood, like there's things that I actively resist and push away because I know if I let myself lean into those things, it'll be to the detriment of my art. You know? And I personally can't stomach that because like you were saying, Jake, like my art, if without my music and my dedication to creating things, there wouldn't be any point to me being here for me, you know. Like I would just be sticking around for other people, and I don't really like anybody hardly that much.
No shit.
Maybe you guys and my dad,
but even
on the day,
but over the music that's driven you since before we met you, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so Razor's Edge, I feel like we kind of all agree that's where the good art is. But I wanted to ask you, it's like, so you've changed your patterns like crazy.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
When you're starting to have these realizations, when all these things come back from your career, totally different switch up here, but does it hit you all at once, like one thing? Like, where can you explain what it's like to have one of these memories where you're like, oh fuck, I didn't realize I didn't deal with that? Or is there like an aha moment or something?
No, there's not. So like last night, I didn't sleep. I had nightmares so bad that I was afraid to go to sleep. So I stayed up. I mean, I slept eventually like 5 to 7 this morning.
Okay.
you big baby.
I know, I'm a fucking sissy. Because every time I shut my eyes and started to go off, a nightmare would start. And it wasn't always associated with something at work. It's just stresses of life or whatever. But some of it is. I don't really have, there isn't ever anything like one call that I went on that pops into my head. understand that some of the things that my brain does has to do with all that years of chaos control that I did, and never being able to just take that fucking time for myself, which is what I'm recommending for you guys to do.
Right.
I'm trying to give you an experience from my life because I'm a little bit older. But I'm coming from a different place. So maybe it doesn't relate as well, because I do also very much appreciate the hustle, and I do believe you have to have a purpose, and I think you should be working on your purpose all the time. It just hits me different where I'm like, oh, I'm kind of fucked up. I need to work on XYZ. And I can understand where it comes from, but there isn't any aha moment. Is that?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm answering the question because I don't have all the answers.
I don't think there's
yet.
a real good answer anyway. But yeah.
I'm just recognizing. I'm recognizing things are coming up in my life now that I don't have that constant stress coming in, that constant chaos coming in. I recognize that it's hitting me differently now, and having that downtime, I'm forced to face some things in my brain, in my life, that I have to better, I guess, is the best way that I can say it.
Right.
But there's nothing pinpointed.
And it's kind of a drastic, like, hey, this should be better. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then you guys know me. If I got a problem, like I need to fucking solve it, and I need to solve it now. And if I can't, I get very frustrated.
Yeah. You don't have to answer this, and this is a kind of personal question, but were your nightmares about George Clooney with 8 baseball bats for cocks? Sorry, that's a Sky.
That was a couple weeks ago. I didn't have that one last night. Okay. No,
sorry. That's a SKATCAST thing, right? So, anyway,
plug.
I think it's SKATCAST.com. You're on it, for fuck's sake. It's the same RSS feed. Sorry, I had a fun week this week. We did A Christmas Carol, and that was fucking one of my favorite things I've ever made. There was also Steve the Reindeer, which was also a lot of fun this week. But I say we go to the Reasonablest party now. What do you guys think?
Let's get reasonable.
This one is actually kind of, I don't know, it's in the same vein as what we were talking about anyway. I'm talking about art again. So here we are. And it's like, what is okay in the world of the Reasonablest party? What can you say with art? Are all things permissible in art, or what?
So we're talking free speech again.
I guess so.
To a degree.
Shaiden brought this one up, and it is kind of a free speech thing. But
I just feel like at least in our society in the States, art, like music and comedy and visual art, is pretty much beyond reproach. Like you can't go out. I feel like art is freer than actual free speech is.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Because like you can't go out and say, Jake, I'm gonna beat your ass and then I'm gonna kill you and bury you in my backyard. But if I go and sing about
you lay a beat to that shit
and killing him and burying him in my backyard,
you can be real specific.
Not only is it okay, but I'll probably get paid to do it.
Mm-hmm. My dick on your tonsils.
As long as I don't actually follow through. And some people I've talked to people that really fucking don't like that. They're like, that shouldn't be, like if you're gonna rap about fucking bitches and stealing cars, then you should get in trouble. Like that's not okay behavior. Or a comedian makes a joke that somebody thinks is whatever, racist or off color or sexist or pick your poison. They're like, he should be done for, or like he needs to get in trouble, or he has to apologize for that or something. It's like, I don't jive with that shit. I think that art by nature just needs to be beyond reproach. It's like our realm to explore freely and express freely, and as soon as you start suppressing it or putting boundaries on it, it's not really art anymore.
There's got to be some boundaries for our culture, I'm sure. Like with the kid stuff and that kind of thing. I mean, there's pornography and there's art. You can have pornography that's art as long as it doesn't have
children in it.
Yeah. Let me bring up an example that might fall into what I'm talking about. What was that? What's that dumb chick's name that held up Trump's head?
Oh, Kathy Griffith.
Oh yeah,
or Griffin or whatever.
One of my absolute favorite. You can tell.
I fucking forgot about that.
Was it art? I mean, and people lost their fucking shit, and people loved it depending on what you thought about Trump.
Right.
It's like. But and the people
it was really
and the people that
art, as far as
supported her, like, well, it's just art,
yeah.
And people that didn't are like, no, that's fucked up.
So
it is fucked up, but it's also
it probably is art. I would say it's art.
Who did it harm?
Yeah, it didn't.
It fucking didn't.
Probably
it hurt a lot of feelings.
Barron Trump, the little kid, like, oh, that's my dad's head, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe
I'm not saying it was right or wrong.
Have free
I'm
reign on
saying
the internet, I guess.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's all in
I mean,
perspective of
the
what
whole
you-
thing is
how
so
you look at it.
subjective, the whole topic, you know, but it's, I don't know.
Do I like that
was
art?
going with
No, but is it art? I think it probably
I don't
is.
know. That's like
It's a
art
photo
itself,
with a
like the definition is
statement.
subjective, I feel
Right.
like I would say like I'm trying to think it like what you were saying, like a rapping about like beating the shit out of people or whatever. I think some of that's art, and I think some of it is people just trying to look cool. You know what I mean? Like
being edgelords.
Like if
Yeah.
you listen to like Who Shot You or like Biggie or a lot of Big L stuff, like that's a lot of the rap I listen to, or like NWA. Like they're living in like they're rapping about where they
real
were.
life.
Yeah, like that was the life that they lived in. But a lot of the shit you hear nowadays they're kind of just
Make
pandering to what they think makes them sound cool.
It's like
And there's
covers,
some
like hip hop covers.
yeah, some
now,
white fucking hipster kid in a suburban fucking neighborhood living in his mom's basement, rapping about
driving mom's Honda.
yeah, rapping about
me-
drinking lean and fucking shooting people. Like fuck you, you know.
Part of me feels like people will just recognize posers and they won't. But
If you rap about
but
the
if you
country
look at
club,
it like those,
it's not
some
as
of
good.
those there's examples of exactly what you just described that are hugely popular and they're making tons of money, and that's what I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
but who are
who's
we?
looking at
If
these
the majority
posters
of
and
people
going,
like
"Fuck
it
yeah."
and call it art, who are we to say it sucks? Who are we to say it's not art? To me, it's not.
subjective,
But
you know,
yeah,
so-
Maybe
is
there's a
subjective,
difference
but
between
maybe I don't
being
get it.
offended
I don't
by.
know.
There's a difference between being offended by something, or literally being threatened by something.
yeah.
right.
And I guess that's where you draw the line. You know, if you write a song about you killing me, it's up to me. It really becomes up to. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's about me, so it's my interpretation. If I understand you're doing art, I'll probably just laugh at it. But
Right.
if I think that you're being serious, now I'm intimidated by it. That's where you cross the line. So it really is still up to the interpretation of what I thought, not what you said.
Well, what about libel and slander? Those two things are involved in music too.
Well, those are crimes.
Yeah. So I mean,
to
but then
just speak
art
it,
in
but-
general, like, should that be permissible? Where it's like, I made this whole album.
Fuck,
I mean,
it's different, man. It's
when it's
different.
politicians, I mean, you could write a whole album about the politicians that you hate and nobody gives a shit. But if it was about your neighbor that doesn't have any power,
I mean, Snoop
Well, then
Dogg
nobody
made a
cares
video
'cause nobody
shooting
knows your
President
neighbor.
Trump. Nobody gave a shit about it. It was art. Does he really want to shoot President Trump? I guess if President Trump was offended by it, then it would, or not offended, but actually threatened by it,
Right.
that would cause it to be a crime.
right?
Otherwise, it's just art. Does
Well,
that make
so
sense?
Threatening
libel-
the president
libel
in
and
general is
slander
just
fucking problem.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely a crime.
That
So
people. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
But libel and slander has to be done in like a serious manner, though, doesn't it? Like, because you can roast
effect has
somebody,
to be
you can make
serious.
a parody of somebody, you can say all you want. So and so said this, and you know, in hopes of ruining their reputation. But if it's done from like a standpoint of like, obviously nobody's going to take that seriously, then is it still libel and slander, or is it just humor?
I don't know. I would like to know that.
You
You're
know.
the one with all the lawyer friends. You asked them.
I'm not one myself.
I know, but you got the.
I just help them out.
you go ask them and then bring this back to us with the answer.
They're gonna be like, "Shut up and give me my case paperwork."
And also use the Google, jackass.
Yeah.
So,
So I think where I kind of, if I was gonna draw a line for my personal outlook on it, I would say, more or less, anything goes within the context of let's just say specifically music and comedy, because they're kind of visual arts, but not necessarily. Like, you couldn't I can't create child porn by singing about it, you know what I mean?
right.
So
Yeah.
that's like,
although they tried to say that about Prince back in the day.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I jive with that. But if it crosses the line into you are damaging or exploiting the defenseless, then I think that it's not good.
right, which would be the kid
You know
porn
what I mean?
and
Yeah,
stuff,
because like the kids can't defend themselves, you know, or somebody who has a position of great power just trying to ruin somebody who has nothing at all, just out of spite. You know, it's just like, and obviously, all of that is kind of nuanced as well too, because it depends on the exact situation. But if
it
I was
has
just
to
gonna,
be case by case.
yeah, if I was
Has to
gonna paint a broad stroke, that's vaguely where my line is. But again, I'd have to be like, well, show me the details, like what happened. You know?
So how would art be different under the reasonablest party to now? What would you say the big difference that we would allow or not would just a bigger more allowment, or I'm not even sure what words I'm using.
I don't know. Like,
More allowment.
More allowments.
Yes.
Would you
think,
allocationalize this in any way?
I mean, I don't know. We're already pretty. At least in the States, we're pretty free with art and comedy already. You know, like
So
I don't
are
know.
we?
Similar?
I mean, we had a thing happen in Spokane where one of the strip clubs was going to have midget bowling.
Right.
And there was a lady within town who worked for Gonzaga for whatever reason. She had nothing to do with that community.
Right.
She was offended. She was up in arms. She got an army. And they made it, like, illegal
Yeah.
to do within, at least within the city.
Was she a person of challenge?
She was not.
stature?
No, she had nothing to do with it.
No.
It was, she was a part of the Mocha Mafia.
She didn't realize that she was
fucking
taking
shut up,
away
Karen.
money from the, like, we know some of those people that book that
So
wrestling thing.
what happened? What was the situation?
One of the strip clubs was, they were going to have an event, and it was midget bowling. I mean, they hire small people to come do this. That's how they make their money.
It's literally their
consenting
job,
adults.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
consenting adults who this is what they do to make money.
Well, then fuck
and
off.
and she made it.
Yeah.
She was so offended by this.
She made
that
it broke.
She basically took money out of their mouths.
Can't work and walk
on
again.
her virtue. So
Like how did like she was the owner of the strip club?
no,
No,
she
she
was
made
just
it
some
big
lady
deal. Yeah.
And
that made
what-
a big deal
so
out of
what
it.
exactly
and went
did
to the city
she- what-
council,
what-
and
oh, okay.
it became illegal to do, and they shut down the event, and they can no longer do it.
Yeah,
anymore.
that's fucked. Like if like, I think at the end of the day, like as long as you're not hurting anybody, you should be allowed to do stuff. But if it's the wrong thing and if it's something that's fucked up, people should have the right to retaliate in a legal way too.
And that's the
you know?
problem with governments doing things. We have they take this brush and broad stroke everything. Like domestic violence is the one I always bring up. Mandatory arrest in domestic violence. Well, there's so much nuance within things that happen within families, you know. But it's mandatory arrest.
Creating problems that aren't there.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't broad stroke anything for anybody. You have to be able to look at things on an individual basis. But our population is so large, I understand why they have to broad stroke everything.
Yeah.
So it's a real catch-22 situation.
Yeah.
So I'd say, as far as the reasonablest party's stance on it, would it look something like, here are the broad guidelines of, you know, how things that we've been able to dream up that could happen or things that have happened. Here's the broad guidelines, but then
We would
but then it has to be decided upon on a case-by-case basis, and if so, who decides upon it, and is that any different than kind of our judicial system now, except for less complicated? We've introduced a lot of unnecessary complication into our judicial system, which is kind of where it starts to fall apart. But if it was just simply, you know, somebody has a problem with something, you bring it up, and then it gets, I don't know. I kind of, it's a weird thing, man. The whole judicial side of things is like, I kind of, one part of me likes the jury of your peers thing, but
Yeah,
the other
it can
part
be
of
a
me,
slippery slope.
the other part of me doesn't.
I don't have faith in the jury of my peers anymore. Is the
Well,
problem.
yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying.
really don't.
Like
I
it
genuinely
also
I'd like to see their
depends on
IQ
like,
before I know.
like that
Right.
was like the jury of the peers maybe would have been fine when you lived in a town of 600 people, and so that was the sample size that you had. But like when you live in a city of 500,000, 2 million people, and your fate is to be decided
You
by
never know what
12
you're
of
gonna
them
get.
picked at random that were forced to be there.
And when
probably aren't
the
getting
lawyers,
paid
it's
from
like their job is to prey on the jury's ignorance of law and like and just their psychology. You know, like their job is to make you out to be worse than you are. You know what I mean, or better than you are, depending on.
Have you ever
which
been part of
side
juries?
Real quick, the reasonableness party, that I know you explained it to me before we did this, but
Yeah.
just to brush up. So it's basically just if the government were destroyed and you're rebuilding it from ground. Just
Or another party, yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
We're the third party. And
Gotcha.
We're trying to figure out, like, okay, people don't like the
Just
left
like
and
your
they don't like the right.
your utopian kind of world for.
We don't want
But the
utopia.
thing is we're very
for you
we're
guys.
trying to be reasonable, and it's like, well, humans aren't going to make a utopia
It's
because
our
we're
dystopian
sucky.
utopia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're trying to make.
That's what I meant.
We're
Yeah.
trying to do the best we can because it doesn't seem like the left or the right is listening to their people, you know. And it's like, so the reasonablest party is the whole idea is to listen. we're presenting ideas and trying to figure out, like, are we free market, or do we want to be commies, or do we want a resource-based economy, or
I think at
and
its
not just
core,
disagree with somebody because they're on the fucking other team,
right?
Which is
Yeah,
how
I don't think the
politics
Reasonableness
work
Party
nowadays.
wants to do that. I think we want to find all the things we have
Kind
in
of-
common with people and
kind of
celebrate
in
that shit.
essence against teams in general.
Yes.
Like, you know, the
No
whole, like,
no ideologies.
I think
if
reaching
possible.
across the aisle is a good thing, but not having an aisle is a
Yeah.
better thing.
Burn the
you know?
aisles to the fucking ground. Yeah.
Just treat it like the wall of death in a mosh pit at a metal concert and just clap that shit right together.
A lot of it is just looking at the things that we have, the system that we have in the world now, and recognizing, oh, it's really fucked. And can we fix this or not? And a lot of times the answer is, I don't know if we can fucking fix this.
Yeah.
It's just what we've got right now.
Well,
Is there a way to make it better, or is what we're doing really the best we got and it still sucks?
And then the examination becomes, if we can't devise a way to deal with this any better, how can we devise ways to better tolerate that reality? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just like we talked about, like
Holiday.
allowing for a certain amount of bad in service of a larger good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's the essence of having a free society, is like freedom's messy. You know, so if you really want to maintain the highest level of freedom possible, it comes with some shit that you're not going to like, that we have to tolerate.
Yeah,
you know?
one thing we always talk about, there's no solutions. It's always trade-offs.
Yeah.
Like,
it's always a
that's-
trade-off, and
that's
for
how it
every
goes.
quote-unquote solution, you have a new set of problems.
Yes.
Well, and I mean, you could have a million different forms of government or whatever, but really the root of the problem is people, you know, and
Yeah.
and that goes back to art.
Preach.
Garbage
Yeah,
in,
you
garbage out.
want to
Yeah.
fix government, make art more valuable.
And the root of the
that will
problem
fix
is-
fucking government,
the root of
because
the
they'll
problem
make people more empathetic. It'll make people better people all around, and more agreeable, and more, you know, capable of rationalizing and negotiating with each other. And you know,
Yep.
I think at the end of the
for
day,
about 10 years, and then they'll start killing each other. over
yeah.
it.
Yeah, maybe this is just our fate, man. Just as a species,
I think-
we're too smart for our own good, and we're gonna
No,
fucking kill ourselves.
Eventually,
Not
we'll
fun.
merge with computers, and then we'll transcend.
Think how bored we would be if everybody agreed with this, or if everything was just
Yeah.
smooth, and if everybody had enough to eat and all that stuff.
We
It's
would
like-
we would stop learning. We would stop advancing, because they do, as I say all the time, it's in the times of strife is where you need to be paying attention the most, because you're going to learn something. You might not like what you learn, or you may love it, but something's coming.
Shit,
Do you
yeah.
guys think
I'm a good
engineering
artist.
strife is evil?
Engineering? Oh, making your own strife
Yeah.
in life?
Well, not even for yourself, for other people.
I don't know.
Well,
Explain on its face, kind of.
Well, 'cause
If
that's
you're
like
being
a-
a cunt intentionally piss somebody off, yeah, that's kind of
I'm
like
talking
trying to
in-
teach
I'm
them a
talking
lesson,
in
or
broader-
trying
No,
to-
I'm talking even broader than your personal life. I'm talking if you were in a position of leading
Super troll.
large groups of people in some manner, and you have enough data at your disposal to know that the more comfortable they are, the shittier they become. So you either maintain or create a certain degree of strife in order to keep them just uncomfortable enough to keep improving.
Are you talking about the prison that we don't know is a prison? That's this
Well,
world
I'm
that we're
just,
living
you
in? What are
know,
you talking about,
Just
Shane?
kind of spitballing from the back of the class over here. But
Oh, you mean the idea
that's
of
like
society?
a super good question. That's like super philosophical.
Because,
you know,
like, if you're on the receiving end of it, feels pretty fucking evil.
Well, think about it.
it's
The
like, who
idea
are
of
you to
soc-
make a decision
Right.
that's best for humanity? But
That's
if it is
politics.
best for humanity, who am I to say fuck you? You
and
know,
if nobody
It's-
makes the decision, what happens?
yeah,
Right. Well, how many
it's like a
things in the
Robin
world
Hood
are
thing.
like that?
Like
The
maybe we
rules of
need
soc-
someone to do it, but they're still fucking evil. You know,
The rules of society in general create strife from what we are as animals anyway, because our natural instinct
Yeah,
to
trying to
deal with
square the
things
circle.
is, as an animal, we're told is wrong from day one in life. I mean, I'm understanding that, trying to teach children to be quote unquote good when they're
Don't
just
bite your
acting like the
brother.
animal that they are.
Yeah. Well, survival of the fittest is the survival of the jungle. That's the animal. But the cooperation is civilization, right? So us trying to teach kids how to cooperate is the whole fucking... I don't know.
It is. I mean, I understand it, and it is a good thing, but to not recognize that it's totally opposite.
That's why our
of what
we
we are
is just every once in a
just
while like,
naive.
holy fuck, what's going on over there? It's like, well, they're doing animal shit.
I think
it's like
transcending.
having sex before marriage. You know,
I think
which
sinner.
Which
You sinner.
I mean, and that obviously works for a lot of people. But can you imagine like marrying somebody and never like having sex with them?
I haven't
beforehand,
even
like,
bought a
making
car
that
without
decision?
driving it.
Yeah, you know,
I
like
hated it. What if you hated it?
Like
but you're
I feel like you really
we
get to
already
know
signed the
someone when you have sex with
paperwork.
them. You know, like,
You wouldn't know if you were a virgin, though. You wouldn't know what to compare it to. Except
That's
for your own
true.
schmaggity.
You'd be potentially very let down. Like, this is it? This is the big thing?
Was your first time
Damn.
great, Zach?
It was pretty good, actually.
Was your first time great, Jake?
fuck no, I couldn't even. No, no, dude, I was nervous. I was shaking.
Well, I was
We
scared
just-
too, but
We just defeated your point just there.
okay, bro.
He was a virgin. He still knew it wasn't good.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It wasn't good on my end, dude. I was fucking
Yeah,
nervous.
okay, yeah. I wasn't
brutal,
good,
dude.
no. But was I happy to be in the situation? Yeah, because I was pretty old. I was out of high school.
You're
at
like
the time
12?
that happened. That was you at
That was
like
me.
7 that I was
13.
having sex.
13.
In
I was in
fairness,
my 20s.
should ask you too, Getch. How was your first one? Was it good?
She's probably a listener. Yeah.
Well,
It was great.
that little caveat at the beginning.
Yeah, he's sitting here, he's shaking his head no as he says that.
All right, enough reasonableist party. I think we've gotten our art down. And we got Jeff in trouble a little bit.
Nah.
That was awesome.
No,
Hey, the
not at
fact
all.
that we are still friends after all those years says a lot.
How were you? How about this? How were you? Were you good? Were you a badass your first time?
Duh.
I just held on for dear life and was thankful to be part of the process. So let's move on to this fuck this thing. And this time we're
Oh,
getting...
you guys are going to fucking hate me.
We haven't had a yay this thing in fucking forever, but fuck this thing. And
We're
this
angry
is,
people.
Yeah, I guess so.
We're toxically masculine.
That's why we're doing this. Yeah, that's right. Don't start that fucking road. I got a lot of letters about bringing up the term toxic masculinity. All right, fuck this. Skipping commercials. Jeff, you're gonna lose a lot of friends. over
Yeah,
this.
people aren't going to like him for this one, but,
I don't even
but
know where
hang
this
in
is
there
going.
because
I don't know
have-
where it's going either.
I have a point. All right, so again,
Let's see how he does.
Having the Chitrins around, and I don't have standard television. Everything is off a computer, and I have YouTube.
Right.
That's what we watch shows off of. And
You're enlightened, in other words.
Yeah.
yeah, as enlightened as I'm probably
Good for
ever
you.
going to be.
Good for you, dude.
And I've learned that I can steal my neighbor's Wi-Fi. It's fucking awesome.
Peak enlightenment right there.
Yeah, there we go. It's pretty great. So throwing on the bubble guppies. So they got commercials
fuck
in that
is that?
shit.
It's kids'
What
fun.
the fuck is that?
It's bubble guppies, man.
Bubble Guppy.
You should.
Yeah,
Is
you
this
gotta
a
watch
kid's
it.
Shaden's
show?
never
Yes,
going
it
to
is.
know these shows except for the ones that when he was a children.
That as an example. So I mean, as
Bubble
you watch
Guppies.
bubble
That
guppies,
sounds like a venereal disease.
that's what it's named after, actually.
Yeah, I slept with Veronica. She gave me bubble guppies.
Well, you're going to. Well, you got about 6 months.
So we already live in a microwave society, which I think is absolutely detrimental to the development of mankind and becoming self-motivated and learning how and having patience and
Certainly.
being able to navigate through life if you want it now. I mean, people expect it now. So here I am watching these children watching the show, and an advertisement comes on. It's only going to be anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds, and they are like, first off, I hate the kids touching the computer because they always fuck it up, and
Right.
I'm not good at fixing it. So
Fair.
I don't want them to touch it, and they want to jump up and hit that button to skip the ad right away.
What does this button do? You're like, I have no fucking idea.
Right, yeah, I don't know what it does, so don't fucking touch it. But I was trying to explain to the kids, I'm like, you gotta understand, when I was a child, I had to we didn't know what the fuck a remote control was.
You were
so
the
first
remote.
off, AJ has his own remote control for a Roku. It's a voice operated Roku.
Okay.
We don't have Roku. And it doesn't have batteries. He just loves that thing and pretends like he's talking in it all the time.
Cool.
Dude, it's the funniest fucking thing
Hey,
I've ever
cheap
seen
entertainment.
that
Yeah,
I
that's-
don't understand,
It's like
but
a
it just
cat with
makes
a
me
box.
laugh.
That's great.
I'm like, man, kids have changed. But anyway, so I had to explain to the kids, I'm like, did you know that when I was a kid, we had 5 channels that we got to watch?
And we had to walk uphill
And we had to
both
actually,
ways.
we actually had to
Change
get up
it.
and turn this knob and clunk, 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 clunk. I'm like, and when the commercials came on, we had to watch them. Or I said, but the idea of it is like
Were
when a
they in
commercial
color?
comes on, get up and get something done, get your laundry done, get your dishes done, whatever it is, go to the bathroom or get something.
Do
to
some
eat.
sit-ups and push-ups. Still
Do
put
some
back on.
shit. Yeah. Instead of just, well, this commercial's on, so fast forward it so I can continue doing what I'm doing. I think that it's detrimental. It's just another detrimental thing of I want it and I want it now. And if I don't have it now, I'm going to lose my shit. I think that actually the commercial breaks are good. It's a timeout from what you're doing to go get something accomplished and then come back to it. I mean, we already have pause buttons and stuff like that, but I'm pro commercial because it stops you from your fuck off time. Okay, I know that I've got 3 to 5 minutes.
You are a workaholic. You're like, in the middle of this shit, I need a break so I can do work. Yeah. Let me go get a goddamn shovel real quick.
So when you're okay, you know what?
You set this up like this is going to be a weird one for everybody.
Y'all can go fuck yourselves because the workaholics sitting there. I'm not offended at all. But all you guys are like, well, I'm going to get all my work done
I agree
today.
with you to a point. I think the other side of that, though, is like if you're don't have any fucking free time, you don't want to waste it watching a fucking commercial. Like
if you don't have any free time, you shouldn't be sitting fucking watching television anyway.
Well, real quick.
Going back, you were just saying that we should.
You should have free time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
you were just saying that we should. Yeah,
here we are.
So if I have an hour a day to relax and chill out, I want to spend it relaxing and chilling out.
But are you relaxing and chilling out, or are you thinking about shit you need to get done?
Well, he just said he was thinking about the shit.
Yeah, but as soon as the commercial's on, that's amplified. Because then I'm really not paying attention to TV.
You're also like, I can't afford that shit.
Yeah, so you got 15 minutes of watching a program, and you're sitting, oh fuck, I gotta take the garbage out. So go take the garbage out while the commercial's on. You come back, you haven't missed a beat. You got to get right back into your show.
Fair.
I think that it teaches
or you missed
patience.
2 minutes of your fucking show,
true.
and you got to sit there for 5 minutes rewinding to the last part where the commercial ended.
Oh, I guess you better fucking get faster taking the garbage out.
Well, check this out.
I think
though.
it's a good point, man.
The artists, when they make something, like when I make an album, it is meant for you to listen to the album. You can choose how you want to do it, but it's meant to listen to from beginning to end. And it's best to listen to it all the way.
That's
used to.
also
I don't do it
fucking
as much.
true. Because how many times have you seen a show that it's so hard to actually get into it and focus on it because the fucking commercials.
Exactly.
There'll be a cliffhanger and you're like, oh, someone's about to fucking die or something,
dude.
And then you have to sit there and wait. And by the time it shows them dying or whatever happens, you're just out of it. And then you have to wait to get drawn back into it. And as soon as you get drawn back into it, commercial.
That's as a scriptwriter.
That's true too.
That's like you're writing pinch moments and you're writing these things to build stuff. And the whole point of music is you're like, we'll be right back after these messages.
Yeah. Imagine if there was a commercial in the middle of a song.
I'm just saying. I think
exactly.
Yeah, if there was commercials just in between episodes, that'd be different.
I'm just saying that fast forwarding through the commercials is just another fucking thing that
I see what you're saying.
That teaches children. I want it now, fucking now. And if you don't give it to me now, I'm going to lose my shit. So I can just push this button and I get it now. I think that it's just another detriment to teaching patience in life. And one of the most important things you can have in life is patience.
I agree with the principle of what you're saying.
Me too. It's the content that they use for commercials. It's like, no, you skip the State Farm commercial. That's going to make you stupid.
Don't watch.
Yeah, I was going to say that too, man.
Listen.
There's nothing good about hearing Arby's. We have the meat. That's just it's insulting, dude. It's insulting that you think I'm that fucking stupid that I
know it too. You can't escape.
Yeah, dude.
Never once did I say sit and watch the commercial.
No,
get up off your ass and go do something.
Right,
10 push-ups, go pee, take out the garbage. I don't care.
Yeah,
but get up and then go back to your
You still got to hear it, dude. We talked about neuromarketing. They're getting in your head whether you're taking out the trash or not.
That's true. My point is that the art itself is being sacrificed for the capital for people to make money. It's like you should probably watch the movie all the way through, and even a TV show. It's not designed. I know they write for commercial breaks, not as much anymore, but they used to write for commercial breaks. That's stupid. Like the point of reading a book is to read, and then when you're tired, you pass out. But you're supposed to read all the way through.
I guess maybe that's why I watch generally movies, because there isn't commercials in there.
Right.
But I'm introduced to this whole new thing. So when we got
skip the fucking commercials,
dude,
Jeff.
I was watching a movie the other night and with my girlfriend, and we were talking about this actually because it was on Netflix, so there were no commercials. But it was so obvious where the commercials went, and the way that the show was put together. It the actual show was edited and filmed in a way that was
for TV
for the commercials, and it actually made the show worse. Having it edited that way, even if you took the commercials out, the final product of the show, even without the fucking commercials, ends up being worse because they made it to. They put black screen, or like I said, there'll be some stupid cliffhanger that was unnecessary, but they did it so that way you come back after the commercial break.
Yep.
So let's find. Let me try and find a compromise here with you.
I want to say one more thing though to get my point across. So we also have what's it called? Is it Tubi? I think where you can. I found this new thing. I don't know, a week ago where I can watch Cops 24/7, which it's weird that I do, but Holly likes that I get to break down. I'm like, really this guy's going to run, and they get really,
we're going to do that on Patreon. I think
anyway,
you do that.
So I found some kids channels on there, and trying to introduce them to new things other than fucking bubble guppies and A is for Adley.
Fucking bubble guppies, dude.
No. Ninja Turtles is where I'm going with it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But even Garfield, I was watching Garfield the other day, and they've got like villains and shit in Garfield. I'm like, how the fuck did we get there? Anyway, it was a puppet that was like gonna take over the world because its skin looked like wood. It was actually pretty interesting. Anyway, the point is, when a commercial comes on now, the kids are like, they want to run to the computer and push the button. I'm like, no. And then they're like, I can't handle the commercial. I'm like, dude, you can't skip through this. Go do something and then come back when it's on. So they're so programmed to be able to just get what they want when they want it. When I'm watching something, when we have something on where there is commercials and they can't do dick about it, they go fucking nuts.
So you're in the middle of teaching discipline.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm. So push skip on the goddamn commercials, though. The commercials will make them stupid.
You can't push skip on the Tubi.
Fair enough.
Or I think,
well,
I don't
close
even
your
know
eyes
if
in their
that's
ears
called.
and have them do push-ups because the commercials will make
go
them
do
stupid.
something. Hey, this is a good time to go get something to drink, or go put your toys away that I asked you to do before you started watching the goddamn show to begin with.
Yeah. So, and to be fair too, like what you're talking about, like those shows are a completely different thing than what you're talking about, Zach, or me, or you. You know, like I don't think it would really hurt the art of the bubble yuppies or whatever to have a commercial break in the middle of there. You know?
Well, even when
I agree with that.
You know, so I've done a few.
It's a high art.
I've done some fitness challenges and stuff like that, trying to get starting the push up and sit up challenge. Like that was one of the things I said. Like if you're sitting there watching a show when there's a little 30-second break, flop down on the floor and do 10 push-ups. You only have to do 100 in a day. It doesn't have to be at one time. You can do 100 push-ups throughout a day. Really, really easy if you break it up. But it's a time management thing. But people they can't figure that time management out
even though
because they're so used to hitting that skip.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Use it to your advantage.
I think
take breaks in your breaks.
We found some common ground here, Getch, you and me on this, because I am militantly opposed to aggressive advertising. It's just something that really fucking gets under my skin in a real way, and I know that's not what you're advocating for. I see where you're coming from, and using that as a device, like an unskippable ad, as a device to teach your kids, go do something else instead of sitting there like a vegetable in front of the ad or being pissed off that you can't skip it. Do something and then come back. I agree with that. But on the flip side of that coin, since we are using ads as the fucking subject matter, like when I watched a 5.5 minute video on YouTube yesterday, and
3 ads,
and there were
breaks.
Well, 3 ad breaks with fucking 6 ads, and they weren't skippable. And I was like, going off of your time management stance, that like I was like, okay, these ads are 20 seconds long. There's nothing I can do for fucking 20 seconds. I mean, I could do a push-up once,
so in the context, you're missing a whole minute of your life.
But yeah, it's like they're robbing me of my
I understand
time.
That
and I was
too.
like, all I wanted to do was watch a 5-minute video about a guy making a handle for a hatchet. Like, fuck off.
Or what if your car's fucking not working and you're on your way to work and you look up a YouTube video to figure something out and you have to sit.
And I think maybe I'm looking more from perspective now, from a parent perspective for children, not so much as an adult, because I got time management. Yeah. I mean, I struggle with anybody else, but I'm probably better than a lot of people with time management.
Yeah.
So I got a handle on it. But you don't when you're 3. You don't when you're 5. You don't when you're 15.
Right.
You start getting that when you're 30.
Well, you were the last guy to get here today, dude. I don't know what you're saying.
For the first time in all the first time in
how often has that ever happened?
Yeah. All of us were talking about how we can't manage our time. We're all here.
That's his first impression of you. So you never get to, for him forever, you're the late guy.
As I recall, there was fucking nothing ready to go when I walked in.
We didn't want you to feel left out, man.
Slap back right there, okay?
All right. I think we've had enough.
That's a good point, though.
In the oven. I don't know.
I agree with I agree with Shaiden on that, like the principle of that. I agree with Shaiden on like the principle of that makes a lot of sense. I agree.
Yeah.
But fuck ads.
Yeah. I didn't think we were gonna find where you were coming from. But surprisingly, you got us there, Getchell.
That totally makes sense.
I didn't say I'm right. I just have a point to what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's a valid point.
And I enjoyed discussing it and listening to you discuss it. That's fun. All right.
I enjoyed laughing at the fucking yupple bubbies.
What is it actually
That's our
called?
thing that we learned.
Bubble guppies.
Fucking terrible, dude.
What kind of creatures are these? These must be. Are they guppies?
They have to be guppies.
They're in the water.
It's like Finding Nemo.
What is a guppy? I know it's a
guppy's
fish.
a small
Is it-
fish.
Yeah, but
What
is
kind
it
of
any
fish?
kind of small fish, or is it a specific type of fish?
I don't know.
I don't
I
know
don't know
either.
either. All right. Well, since we don't know, we're going to move on to advice I give myself, and this one is take time to meet, to work on your friendships. I believe is the thing. Draw the line.
Yeah,
This is a
I
border.
guess we kind of fucking covered this in the scope of what else we were talking about, but it was more or
tends
less
to happen.
just like you have, and this seems like a no-brainer, but so many people are so fucking bad at it, and I have been for a lot of my life as well. But when you have friendships or relationships in your life that matter to you, you have to take the time to nurture those, obviously, but you also have to cultivate friendships and relationships in a manner that when you create boundaries or decide, hey, I have to come before this thing that this person wants from me, whether it's just my time or my attention or my presence at a social thing, I have to come before that, and so I'm going to tell them no, and I don't need to be sitting here beating myself up over it or feeling like a piece of shit over it, nor do I need them thinking that I'm a piece of shit, because if they do, then the friendship isn't, that connection probably isn't as great as you think it is in the first place. But but it's it's easy to say that kind of shit, but and we've mentioned in the past where like, Jeff will fucking call me and all he wants to do is talk to me for a while, and I'm just for whatever's going on in my life, I'm like, I cannot talk on the phone right now to anybody. Like my father that I love very dearly, that I always love to hear from, could call me and I would duck his call because I cannot handle the idea of being on the phone right now. You know what I mean? And it's like it's one of those things. But I know.
But then when you want to make a call and you're like, well, you fucking didn't answer.
No, honestly, if I ever call somebody that don't answer, I'm like, that's how that feels.
You might not recall this, but you and I started to get to know each other, and I can remember sitting down with you and just saying, dude, you're an interesting guy, and I see a value in you in my life. I want to develop a friendship with you. Like, we had this conversation. Let's make it a point, and we're both busy guys, let's make it a point to spend some time together. And we did, and developed one of the best friendships I've ever had in my life. Yeah. But now we also know each other well enough to know that if you don't talk to me for 2 weeks, I know you're fucking busy. You're not going to stop loving me and being my buddy. You're just busy. Yeah. And I'm excited to hear about it when you have some time.
We'll bust each other's chops about it next time we get together.
Exactly.
It's no big deal. Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. But like, if you can't, that's something that you just pointed out. It was cultivated that way. It wasn't just something that we had this like unspoken agreement on, like, like we interacted with each other in such a way that it was like, okay, I see that you're busy. I understand why you're busy. And I've seen, the results of you being busy, but us getting together, and nothing really changed. We still continue to build our friendship,
Right.
Like that was all intentional shit, so it's like I've had the opposite of that experience where somebody really wants to hang out with me and they're reaching for me constantly, and I'm just like, for whatever reason, I'm not about it, or I'm not there, or I'm just not in the right frame of mind, and they take it personally, and some of them just fuck off and don't ever talk to me again. And it's like, well, I mean, part of me feels bad about that, but the other part of me is like, that wasn't going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that helped me out quite a bit. Thanks.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. But, and I mean, I do sometimes, like, it's not to say that I should just have permission to ignore everybody and then expect them to still be my homie. You know what I mean? Because it's a give and take. And I definitely have times where I'll like fucking look at it. I did it to fucking Jake last week when we were trying to set up the podcast.
I didn't take it that way at all.
I know, and Jake didn't fucking care, but I did, because I was just like, dude, like, Jake's one of my really, really, really good friends, and I respect him a lot. And I was just like, I read his text message and then literally just chose not to reply. And then like 3 or 4 days later, I was like, oh fuck, dude, I had my head up my ass, sorry man.
Almost, dude, I have so many texts in my phone from people I really fucking care about that I just haven't even opened yet. Like weeks long.
Almost every fucking text message and email that I reply to is like, sorry for the delay. I'm a
same
cunt,
with me. Yeah,
and I love you, but I don't love myself enough to talk to. I don't know. Whenever somebody writes to me,
every time I ever get a text back from Zach, I'm like, what the fuck?
I don't know what it is. I want to write a letter. Like, I'm that old dude from like the 18th century where I'm like, my dearest Jeff, I would like you to know how much I feel for you today, and on this dawning of the new Aquarius.
The weather here has been temperate.
Yes. We haven't talked since last week. The only text I get from you was at 1:00 this morning.
Well, can I
need
get some
toothpicks?
I think I said I hope all is well. I try and be like, hey, sorry for thanks for your patience with me. I know. I was like, hey,
I laughed pretty goddamn hard.
Did you?
It actually, yeah, because the only reason I got that was because of my nightmares, and I woke up and it made me laugh. So
fuck!
I'm like, you cunt.
You know what? And I was thinking that too, and I was like, but he knows that like it's 5:45 or some shit in the
Because
morning.
I totally
it's like
know.
I just got done after being up since 9 in. Now I'm done with my show.
That is
totally
one
know.
thing I have always felt endearing about Zach was that he's one of the few people in my life that I know for a fact that if I'm having an insomnia night and it's like 4:30 in the morning and I just want to reach out and fucking hit him with some bullshit, he's gonna fucking see it.
I'll be up for that.
And
that's when you called that one day. You're like, it's 4 in the morning. I'm like, hey.
I almost killed myself with a pillow.
And that time of the day is when Zach is
pillow
most
on fire.
likely to reply.
Absolutely. I'm like, that's noon or something. Or, that's like the end of the night. Like,
that?
I did all my shit.
Put it on a heater.
Oh shit.
So we're having a side conversation over here.
Yeah.
I should say sorry to all the people that we were talking about the anxiety of like before. We talked about this on several shows ago where having emails unread by people that you care about is not part of our evolution. It's brand new shit. It's brand new anxiety, and it kind of correlates with the anxiety of society and how we've become more anxiety filled. And it is weird because when I read that and I learned about it, I was like, that is what I'm thinking. Like even the spam emails where it's like, you have 1,000 unread emails. I'm like, oh my God, fucking Sears needs my fucking,
That's like exactly what me and Jake were talking about before the podcast.
Yeah.
It was just you were
weird.
stressing out about having a bunch of shit in your Instagram inbox.
Yeah, dude. And
I do that. I mean, we get lots of emails a day, and it's like, and I know a lot of these people by name, and they're wonderful people, and it's like I want to get back to all of them, but I also want to be thoughtful with each reply, where it's like, my dearest, whomever.
I'm exactly the same way.
And so then they just don't get anything from
Well, and text messages, you can turn your like read receipts off, so it's like you can read it and kind of think about what you're going to say over the next day or week or whatever, I guess, however long it takes you. But like Instagram and Facebook, which I do a lot.
Show you that
as soon as you open it, it says that person read it, and so like I have so many messages I just won't even open,
Right.
Because I'm like, as soon as I open it, I'm committed, and this might be a complicated thing for me to. This could take a half hour of my time to
And I'm not
fucking
ready for
respond
it.
to this person.
Yeah,
Like,
I
don't
got
have
things to do today.
This
Yeah,
also
same
kind of
shit.
goes back into what I was talking with the commercials, though. There's an expectation for an immediate response.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
True.
But most of my friends in my life, I don't really have that many friends like that, or acquaintances where they're like,
It's because you hang out with
answer me?"
adults.
I know, exactly. Your quality
you guys
friends
ever
gets
had
better.
that happen though, where somebody sends you a message and you do read it, but you don't respond right away, and then they get fucking torqued about it?
I don't want to say
And
his
like
name.
message you again.
I don't want to say his
you
name,
know what I'm
but he's
talking
a
about.
musician in this town where he gives you a text for 2 minutes.
You and
can't.
I had that same experience.
Fuck, and then he calls you the worst names in the. You know him too, and he's probably done it to you, Jake.
I don't know who you're
Jake's
talking
like, I don't
about.
know.
I'm really curious
It'll
about who it
happen.
is.
Compare notes.
It'll
later.
happen. Yeah.
I was gonna
Usually
say, when
I'll
we're
write it-
done,
I'll
I'd
write it
love to
down.
hear who this is.
I know who you're talking about, and I've never talked to him.
I know, you know. Well, you've heard us bitch about us. I'm going to do the same thing that I did that one time for the other musicians.
Oh, he's
I'm passing notes.
Now we all have to sit here awkwardly.
Right here. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a different thing.
No,
that's
psycho.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
That's not a sane person who's like,
Well,
just a little insane when
That's
it comes
not really
to
somebody
that.
you want to be your friend anyway.
Yeah.
True.
So
No offense, person we're talking about.
Coincidentally, that's
I
exactly
only
how I
want good things
replied
for
to him
everybody.
when that happened. I was just like,
you let me read that thread. It was awesome.
I was like,
It was
I'm
awesome.
not your friend, and I don't really want to be. So
You don't. Please don't. Hey, don't talk to me
respectfully,
like this.
I will
don't
say,
talk to me at all.
trying not to pat myself on the back too fucking hard. I really do put a lot of effort in reaching out to people
You do.
that I
You
give
are
a
good.
shit about or see potential in, because I want them.
you're way better about that
I want
shit than
them
I
to
am.
see what I see. God, I wish people could just for a moment see what I see in them through my eyes. It would change their life. So since they can't do that, I really do try to reach out to people and give them some attention. Let them know I give a fuck about you. I care about you.
You're
So,
fantastic at nurturing friendships. You really are.
it's
You're one of the
because
better ones I've
above
seen.
anything else in the world, that is what is most important to me.
You have a larger bandwidth for
That's super
empathy
cool.
than I do.
Yeah, we need
Yeah,
more
that's a
people
good way
like
to
I'm a
that.
hugger.
Yeah.
You are a hugger.
I'm just a hugger.
I'm sort of the same way in like like sometimes I'll be in a good mood, and you know, like I fucking love people, man, and I try, but I'm also like drowning in my own shit all the time.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'll just like be in a good mood, and I'll fucking like text like 10 people, and then 10 minutes later some shit happens, and it like lingers for like 3 days, and all those people get back to me, and I don't respond to any of them. And I was the one who initiated the fucking conversation.
That happened to me yesterday. Basically, yeah.
I did it last night.
I call that manic fits of empathy.
Yeah, dude.
I have time. Oh yeah, it's just an energy thing too. You're like, I'm feeling great today, and then all of a sudden the dog barks real loud, and you're like, fuck them all.
You know, that still counts though, because those are little seeds that you planted, and like even if you didn't come back and water them,
True, that's true. I mean, if they know who you are, they're like, that's him trying. That's them doing their best.
I did that last night. I believe it was PJ had started a thread, and then Deja actually invited me into it, and I like to pop in and out of that. And I'm like, I kind of want to get topics going. So like last night was what song kind of gets you back on your feet if you're feeling down, or just reminds you to, you know, life's just life, and it's kind of up to you. Get up and go. So I had posted my song, and I was so excited to like listen, see what everybody, you know, put from their you know, Pandora list or whatever, so I could listen to new songs and learn. It kind of, in my mind, it allows me to learn about them a little bit.
Right.
And I was so excited, and then I got so goddamn busy that I got so lost in the thread I didn't really get to respond. And then I did it again today with love songs, and I still haven't looked at it yet. Well, so I'm kind of excited to get back to that.
Hell yeah.
Was your song the Bubble Guppies theme song?
No, it's not. But there's another Peppa Pig where it goes Peppa Pig. So me and AJ did our
fun
first
for me to edit later.
Me and AJ.
I want to hear you guys cover that.
Our own mash. We did our own music mash today, and we're going, bubble guppies, bubble guppies. So that's it.
Oh man, you're doing medleys now.
There's a few parents listening to this that are like,
Karate Kid, yeah.
hell yeah. That's a good move, bro. Works like 3 or 4 out of 20 times. It's fucking badass. All right, let's move on. Things I learned. We're almost to the end of our show, you guys. Holy shit. This is the power of fusion. Apparently, some sciencey shit.
So this has been a subject of much heated debate on the internet this week, which I think is hilarious because everybody just fucking wants to be wound up about something. They were like, so on the one hand, you have people saying there's been a breakthrough in fusion energy, which there was,
right?
But then you have people on the other side of the aisle going, no,
it's
not really a breakthrough because of blah, 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 blah. And they're also kind of right,
right?
You know, but it's like, fuck off with that, man. Like, so just because it's not the end of the line, it's just a step in that direction. It's not worth being excited about. Like,
we're paying attention to like some actresses like dating and shit. That's the next thing on the scroll. It's like, just pay attention to science for a second.
Kim Kardashian's butt than you do about a fusion energy breakthrough. Fucking pleb.
Anyway,
sorry. That's just
imagine what the fucking world would be like if we could have fusion energy. That would just be
so anyway,
much more inexpensive.
Let's quick. I'm not an expert, but quick overview of fusion energy. Fusion energy is basically a reaction that is started, and then it creates its own reaction that produces more energy than the initial reaction that started it. And then it's essentially this it's like the idea, think of like a miniature sun the size of the tip of a pin, you know, and then it just is constantly generating more input than it takes to sustain itself, or energy output rather than it takes to sustain itself, and then you basically have unlimited clean energy, and fusion doesn't create any waste.
Right.
There's not like fission or nuclear is fission, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's cool shit, and like ultimately it's going to be, I mean,
what they're trying to do.
if some nefarious entity doesn't come along and fucking monopolize it for nefarious
there have been several
purposes.
movies about cold fusion scientists being killed in the fucking lab.
Build my death ray.
And then they get blown up, and then we have to go back to fossil fuels.
But you know, barring that dystopian outlook, which I am prone to, so what happened is this laboratory, they started this fusion reaction with a bunch of extremely high-powered lasers, and then the reaction did actually start into a chain that generated more energy than the initial reaction.
Did it keep going or did it stop?
It kept going. It stopped as soon as they stopped putting in the energy.
Okay.
Right. So it was a sustainable fusion reaction that generated more energy than it started as. But the catch is the lasers that they used to start it took way more energy than, so I mean, so it was still a net loss in energy.
Right.
But the reason it's cool is because now it's no longer a matter of, can we create a fusion reaction that actually creates more energy than it started with? It's just
like,
how do we make
bigger,
the lasers
longer.
more efficient? You know what I mean? Like we just proved that it can be done.
That's huge.
Which is fucking awesome.
That's huge.
If you're a nerd.
Yeah, I mean, I am, and it speaks to me very deeply.
And so I'm staring at you because I can't look at Jeff while I'm talking about this. He's just looking at me like, you fucking geek.
It's a little sun. You're going to have a little sun that powers your house in the future. You'll like it. It'll be great.
You're going to have a cell phone with a miniature sun in it, and
That's
it'll
right.
the battery won't ever die.
Fucking A. It's like a
pretty
nuclear
badass,
sub,
actually.
baby.
There's Imagine the weapons we'd make with that
Yeah,
shit.
exactly.
Way to go. There's a place for you in the Pentagon with that kind of mind. If you need it.
I'm just saying, it's really cool, but I feel like
I feel
just
like we could kill a
our
lot of cunts
nature,
with
we
this.
would abuse it, and it would end up being like an atomic bomb situation.
Oh, yeah.
and
We're forever fucking monkeys banging on nuclear warheads to see what they'll do.
Yeah.
too smart for our own good.
Yes. And not wise enough to be. We're smart, but not wise.
Yeah.
I have another thing that I'm going to skip that. Let's move on to the 7 things that I wish I knew when I was
tease
younger.
me like that, bro.
I was going to, actually, you know what? I just want to put this out there. So Instagram, I was doing some looking into some stuff and some causes and shit. Over the last 10 years or so, there's been a rise in this specific demographic of young ladies, 10 to 14, of depression, suicide, cutting, all the things that we don't want our kids to do. And there was a correlation directly with the camera phone, the self-facing front-facing camera, and Instagram. And it was only for girls, 10 to 14, but it was substantial, like a massive jump in depression and these things, and not just in the United States. So that it was, all of the Western world and South Korea and some of these places. And basically, like when you think of things that aren't good for you, like, so right away you're like, well, I don't want my 10 to 14-year-old to have a phone. But it's very difficult if you're a parent in those ages. I don't either. But their peer pressure is it's so much. It was really difficult. It's very difficult to weather.
Because if they don't have a phone, all their friends are going to have phones, and they're still going to have access to phones. Like,
Right.
It's just,
But
it's
what
a
this
foregone conclusion.
And then they'll be
With
left
this study,
out too.
Unless you
But
live in a
here's the
town of
thing.
508 people and phones only work in specific areas, you can pull that off.
But here's the
Yeah.
thing. You should be the parent that says no anyway. Because according to this study, it's like, when you say, sugar's not good for you. It's like, well, I'll just have a little bit of sugar. It's like, this is not safe at any speed and at any dose, is what the studies were saying. And there's multiple studies that say this. And there's some studies that Instagram put out that are against this, so you can look into it for yourself.
Did they fund them, those studies?
I think so. Yeah. I'm not sure 100% on that.
we
but
funded some studies that say that we're
our
great.
cocaine is actually really good for your nasal cavity. It really opens things up.
Trust us.
But here's the idea. So, I mean, basically, you shouldn't have your 10... If you want to screw your kid up, basically, is what they're saying. 10 to 14 years old is the worst time. But then after 14, 15... It should be fine. And young boys don't have the same kind of problem. It also went into a thing about the division of America.
Is that because girls mature faster, so they're in that, I guess it would be higher estrogen levels and not knowing how to deal with it at that age,
It's
where
just
boys
bad
aren't
for
there
boys.
yet?
In
I
the
think could
entirety
be, but
of their
I think
20s.
women are also just more
Right.
sexualized in general, and so like
Yes.
they take more pride in their appearance matters much more than it does to a man in general.
In general, yeah. And I mean, the selfie thing, the selfie culture, all of that
That's a
stuff.
fair statement.
Yeah. And so that was what I learned was, according to these studies, that it's absolutely detrimental.
With the technology and the
It's the
medium,
algorithm,
or
yeah.
is it a problem with the way that it's being employed?
I think it's complicated because you've got these young people that with the
Because like
hyper
teenage
peer
girls
pressure.
have had cameras they could take pictures of themselves with for a long time.
Oh yeah, but not a place to put them, and not with filters, and not with
Right.
competition to
Yeah, I was gonna say the
classroom.
filters probably makes that even worse.
Does.
Fuck filter.
Does.
That we're doing a fuck filters next time.
Yeah, okay, you got it. All right, moving on. That's just something to say. If you have a 10 to 14-year-old daughter or an 8-year-old daughter and you're looking into it, it's something to look into. Like, I know how hard it would be to tell your kid no. I was lucky enough to... My son didn't get his cell phone till a little bit later, like 15 or so.
Yeah.
And it was a bitch too. It was a hell of a thing for him to go through. And so fuck. If you break, I don't.
But
I don't blame you.
I didn't get my first cell phone other than the locked down Nokia pull out the antenna phone that my dad used to keep tabs on me when my mom left. But other than that, I didn't get my first cell phone until I was fucking in college.
Fuck that. I didn't get one until I was 30. So you guys, kids can fucking handle it.
They didn't exist yet, right?
Exactly.
Well, they had that big brick.
They did.
You could drive down the road with a brick and a satellite
it was like
following
$4
you.
a minute.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it costs a lot to have that satellite follow you, Jeff. All right, so we're also going to talk a little bit about Jake and his music here, but he's in the bathroom, so we're not even going to do that.
He's peeing.
I'm
Gross.
talking about his wiener right now.
Gross.
How the things come out of it. 7 things I wish I would have known when I was younger. Jeff is going to lead us through this. And
Yes, it is.
Take it away, Bear Ba.
So this, number one, is pretty damn important, and listen up. People aren't thinking about you anywhere as near as much as you think they are.
fuck, that's very important.
And that
to
kind of
realize.
ties into the 10 to 14-year-old girls stuff that you were thinking about.
Absolutely.
We value ourselves a lot more than other people value us, really, in general. And we think that
Positive and
everybody
negative.
gives a fuck about what we're doing.
Yep.
No, and for the most part, no, they're self-absorbed too.
Yes.
And that's okay.
So number 1 is, one more time.
People aren't thinking about you near as much as you think that they are.
That was for him.
Unless
Jake's
it's-
back.
Unless
Yeah,
it's
Jake's
Jake.
Right.
I'm thinking about Jake way more than he thinks.
Yeah, I think about you all the time, man. Especially when you don't fucking respond to me.
Especially now that you've offered
See, I knew
asparagus
it.
as part of our podcast experience.
I knew he took it
Asparagus and bear
personally.
meat.
God damn it.
Number 2, blame is mostly a useless concept. I think we've kind of flogged that a little bit in the last one. I mean, what's the point of blaming somebody if something's already fucking happened and it creates a situation when you have to deal with it? Doesn't really matter whose fault it is. You still got to fucking deal with something.
Yeah.
So what's the distinction?
Unless it's like
between,
they're prone to do it again, and
Well,
right?
then you have choices to make.
Yeah,
then,
That's
right?
where
Yeah.
that's where I'm coming from. Like, what's the distinction between blame and accountability? Because isn't blame a component of accountability?
Well, let me put it. Let me frame it in maybe in this way. Let's say you grew up with parents that were alcoholics. That's really shitty, right?
Yes.
And you can be upset with them and blame them for a lot of your problems, but at the end of the day, it's your fucking responsibility to fix those problems. They're not going to fix them for you. It doesn't matter if they say I'm sorry or not, or take any acknowledgement. The problems that it developed in your life end up being your responsibility. That's shitty, but it's a reality. So don't waste your time blaming them and thinking they're going to do something for you about it. It's still your responsibility to fix it.
Okay. So,
dude, I got a song.
New
That's
scenario.
not to like talk about myself, but I have a song that's
Do it.
literally
You're here to talk about
exactly
yourself.
about that.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't get to talk about this next week, so talk about
Is
it
that
now.
the one that we get to put on the end of this?
No, that one is like the first recording I ever had, so it's not that good.
So you're saying, I wrote this song,
but that's
sucks
what,
really
that's what
bad?
it's about. Like
the song's probably good. The
I
recording's
mean, we'll
probably crap.
probably recut it at some point.
That's
but
that's the trash I was referring to when I got asked about your music.
It's got some good songs. They just sound terrible with the recording.
No, I know the song you're talking about.
Hiding
It's a
from
great
the sun.
fucking
Sorry,
song.
Shaiden.
Yeah.
We went sideways.
Thanks, man.
You had a
So, different scenario then. A doctor prescribes a medication without looking closely enough at your wife's chart to know that she's deathly allergic to it. She takes it trusting the doctor, not knowing that it has said ingredient that she's deathly allergic to, and she dies from it.
Right. Well, first off, there's actually a position in a hospital that's supposed to go over your chart to find that. But even then, if that gets yes, there's accountability there.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, once it's already happened, you can blame them, maybe even get compensation for it, but you still have to deal with that problem.
Yeah, that's the premise. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense. That's basically literally what the show is about. It's just a ride. It's like you're going to experience shit in life, and so you can take it as garbage and horrible, or you can just be like, that's just life. That's life. This is what it feels like to be alive. Okay,
Yeah.
moving on.
I mean, half of going through life and forcing yourself to do uncomfortable things, you're just preparing for the next crisis because it's fucking coming.
Yeah, it is.
You think it's not?
That's
It's
why
coming.
we have anxiety, because it's like, well, it feels good now. Things are great.
Yeah.
It's not.
I almost I get scared when I get comfortable.
Yeah, right.
Number 3,
Thanks, Dad.
the quality of the relationships that you choose to involve yourself with will dictate the quality of your life.
Absolutely.
I think that kind of speaks for
Nothing
itself.
to add.
Yeah, that's
Very
really
true.
good.
Yeah, some of these are pretty straightforward.
Although, I saw somebody comment on your post that was kind of like that, and it's like, well, and it made me think, it's like, well, your circle of friends are the ones that you want to be pushing you and stuff, but having acquaintances out in the world that you can be a good person, a good role model or whatever, and be a good member of their group or whatever,
right?
Their number, whatever. You kind of get what I'm going at?
I got you.
I'm stupid. I'm tired. It's been a long ass week.
Did you just words real nice?
I word fucked it. I fuckled all over the wordage.
So
Keep fuckling.
and this one seems trite but true. But nothing meaningful in life is easy, and nothing easy in life is meaningful.
No, that's
Nothing-
that's
nothing
pretty.
meaningful is easy, and nothing easy is meaningful.
Are you trying to say that every time I jerk off, it means nothing?
I was trying to find
Sometimes
my way
it's
to
not
a dick
easy.
joke. Thank you for picking that up.
We're all working together on this dick joke. Number 5? Are we at 5?
Yeah, we're number 5.
All right.
Number 5.
A lot of
Forgot to go on
people
before.
aren't going to like to hear this one.
Goodness
if you
gracious.
want to experience beautiful love, you have to be willing to open yourself up to heartbreak and pain. And that one's huge. A lot of people spend their lives so guarded that at the first sign of anything negative from someone else, they'll push them away. Love in life, there is heartbreak and pain that goes with that. Even in the best of relationships that last 60, 70 years, at the end of it, someone's going to be left heartbroken and alone because somebody's going to die first in general.
Yeah.
It's just
What's that saying?
part of living. Everything that breathes takes a first breath is going to take a last breath, and it's going to break your heart.
Everything you know will someday be proven wrong, and everything you love will eventually die. Did you guys ever see a movie called The Forbidden Kingdom? Jackie Chan and Jet Li.
Oh,
my
sounds really familiar.
my
I feel
big
like I've seen
nerd, my big nerd boner rising here, but
Would it surprise you? I have not seen that.
it doesn't surprise me.
I'm
no.
writing it down because
I'm
those
not
two
shocked.
are on my list
Forbidden
of favorites.
Kingdom. It was great just because Jackie Chan and Jet Li are both like movie kung fu.
Oh, they're fun to watch
legends,
for sure.
You know, and it was like
Good actors,
It was
too.
a rare movie
Jackie
that they
Chan's
were
hilarious.
in doing both lead roles, like interacting and fighting each other. It was dope. But the reason I bring it up is because Jackie Chan's character says something in the movie that I'm sure is probably stolen from some other proverb, but it's the first time I heard it, and it's exactly what you're talking about. And he said, "A man who does not attach himself to people or things will never have his heart broken, but never will he truly live."
I agree with that.
Better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. That's kind of that same thing.
Oh, shall I say it?
Unless you're buying your third
Try
dog.
it.
No shit. Somebody's sitting there like a widow, and they're like, "Yeah, okay, dickhead, whatever."
Yeah, the heartbreak hurts, but the value of the love still remains.
Right. Exactly. Well, real quick, it's like a pet. That's why I wanted to name all my pets for in the future tragedies. Just tragedy, because it's like, well, it's going to die and it's going to hurt because you're going to be super bonded to this innocent creature that never did anything wrong, never said anything to you. But so that would make you want to avoid the logic of that. It's like, I'm going to hurt, but and especially if you name it tragedy, like a cunt like I am. But it's better to have those animals in your life, and then just to get a new animal and then start that relationship over again and continue to love, because it makes your life better. That's what I think. I was trying to say that to somebody like, I don't want an animal because they die, and it's like, yeah, but it's so much better to think about the 10 years you had with them. It's like,
That's an inspired idea, Zach.
And they're gonna die whether you get them or not.
I know,
They're still gonna die.
Every animal that I have from now on, I'm going to name after some lead character in a Greek tragedy. And we'll see. You guys will be the only people that get it.
or some Shakespeare. It'd be fucking like, it's Hamlet. Why is it Hamlet?
I'm curious to see if
Hamlet's
you
my
guys.
favorite Shakespeare, man.
I'm curious to see if you guys push back on this one. I buy into it. People will always respect and value you in the direct proportion of how much you respect and value yourself. I'm not getting pushback. That surprises me. God damn, look at you guys. And I don't really have a whole lot to add to that other than I do
Are you
believe.
saying we don't respect ourselves? What's going on?
No, that's not what I said. You're just artists, man. You're musicians. I expected something different.
I'm a shitty business owner too. I got some shitty goddamn capitalist ideas too.
I
I
honestly,
respect myself maybe more than anybody.
right? In my head, I'm a goddamn genius over here, but nobody else thinks so.
I don't know.
We're artists. We're all pretentious as hell. We all think we're the fucking smartest.
That's how we get on stage.
world.
It's like, well, my
But we
narcissism
also-
led me here.
We also paradoxically hate ourselves bitterly.
Well, I was gonna say there's a
That's where I was going
there's a
with
difference between being like obnoxiously hard on yourself and like hating yourself and not respecting your like worth. Like I'm super fucking hard on myself and I'm down on myself all the fucking time, but it's because I know I can be better. You know what I mean?
But I value that. I value that mindset.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Is like I might not always respect who I am in a given moment, but that's because I hold myself to a high standard,
Right?
You know, because I have
Welcome to the reason.
But I think that guarantees
That's your damn job as a
eternal
person.
growth. Because that gets into my whole thing of being content. I think contentment breeds apathy. If you stay content too long.
so
Jeff
we need
also
to
likes to
engineer
kick himself in the
strife. We
dick
have
like
to- we have
13 times a day.
I'm
So he's
I'm
kind of a
probably the
masochist.
worst at destroying myself, but it doesn't mean that I don't love and respect myself. I just know I can be better every day.
Yeah.
So it's
Just take it easy on yourselves, guys. Fucking A.
God,
Just do your best. That's all the universe asks of anyone. If
Well,
you can do
that's
your
what
best
I-
and fail, oh well.
that's all I ask of other people. It's like I don't care if you're an absolute fucking failure, as long as you're genuinely trying.
Yeah, if that's your best,
all
what
I
the fuck
care.
else are we going to ask of you? Be better on magic. Use the magic. Do steroids. I don't know. Whatever.
And number 7, be slow to judge harshly and criticize other people because you have absolutely no idea what someone's going through.
Yes. Harsh on yourself and soft on other people. That's
Yeah,
the
be
stuff.
quick to make an assessment, but slow to judge and condemn.
Always lead with kindness, empathy, and respect.
I would add number 8. No, thank you. To everything that's said.
Basic
no,
number
thank you.
8 would be basically don't be a cunt.
Yes.
Don't be a
That's-
cunt.
That's number 1 always. That's the number 1 reasonablest party
And don't be a
mantra.
cunt. Shirts are coming soon.
Yes.
And
And no thank you.
And no thank you.
to go off of the one about judging people and stuff, like I've always thought, because I talk a lot of shit about people sometimes in my free time. As you guys probably
It's
picked
fun to
up on.
talk shit about people.
Yeah.
because they're
But-
talking shit about you. You might as well balance the
Yeah,
scales.
but
Well, you know the saying.
I like to think of it though
Most
as
people
like
don't care about you like you think they do. It's true.
like talk shit about people's actions and behaviors, not about who they are. You know what I mean? Like people can do shitty things or be in a shitty headspace or behave shittily, but it's not, is that a word?
Shittily. Yeah, we use it a lot.
All
actually.
words are okay on the show.
I don't know if that was a
Involved in
word.
use.
No, I mean I wasn't asking if that was
man.
allowed. I was asking if that made any sense.
Not allowed. Take it back.
We've
wanna use
actually
shit
used that a few
tasticles,
times.
that's
So.
Shit tasticles is my go-to if you'd like to do there.
But you get what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Fucking
Well,
A.
pointing out behaviors that are inappropriate is okay, but to take that behavior for a specific incident and create a whole opinion about a person really isn't fair.
Yeah.
But we tend to do
Well,
it.
even repeated behaviors too. There's people all the time that I catch myself, and I'm trying to stop doing this and be more positive, and most days I am. I've gotten a lot better at it, but yeah, there's a lot of people who just piss me off, because of repeated behavior, like they keep
Right.
doing, like just the way they are. But at the same time, it's like they're doing that because of the way their brain is wired and the way they grew up, or they act that way because of insecurity or just whatever the
Might be
fuck
their
reason.
genes too. There's their archetype as a person. or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah. So I'd
But on-
remind myself like I don't not like that person. I don't like the way that they act. You know what I mean?
And there are people in this world.
person that I wrote down, don't like that
Yeah,
person.
there are people in this world,
The
such
one
as that
exception.
person, such as
Not
that
Hitler,
person
that
who is
dude.
just a cunt.
That guy especially. Yeah. Well, they're both the same.
Yeah, it's okay to acknowledge that some people are just cunts too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing any of the things that we talk about to improve yourself.
Yeah.
To make yourself a better human
But
being.
maybe they just aren't aware that that'll make them better. Maybe they just don't believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even when you tell them straight to their face, they're like, "That's not true about me." Yeah, it is.
Well, people have different moral priorities, and that just shapes the way we look at the world. Our belief systems are just the filter that we all. So we have so many different filters that we share the world with.
Yeah.
I was reading something that there's 6 different viewpoints in the United States. So there's like 6 different Americas. I mean, we can tell that there's 2 Americas that are fighting each other right now, but the majority of us don't live in that. But 6 different ways to look at the world, and I'm not going to read them, or I don't remember them all. But
No more
it's
lists.
just-
We already did.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
list.
yeah. But it's like when you think about it, it's like, well, there's the way I live, and then there's the way that guy that's opposite of me lives. But who are these other fucking people that
Yeah.
live in these weird places? I don't know. It's a big world, and we don't we all kind of live in a bubble.
I'd see 3 of them, you know, like the left, the right, and the people who are like, stop fucking fighting, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's like people that
are
are super
The left, the
agreeable.
right, and the parents. Yeah.
Like there's
the
a very
far left and the far
Yeah.
right.
Well, even without politics, it's
the
like,
ones that neither one of their own people like.
yeah, like they're the most extreme kinds of all
I'm
time.
left, but that person's a fuckhead.
Well, I love that. That's our world right
Well,
now.
and that's the point. Is politics is becoming ideologies, but I think what you're talking about is the 6 different basic ideologies of people, probably.
Yeah, but it actually comes down to deeper, like, but although it would fall into political things too. So like agreeableness, that's probably not necessarily a conservative thing, although there's plenty of agreeable conservatives. It's probably more of a liberal, classical liberal mindset of agreeableness. And there's a bunch of Americans that are that's their number one priority, moral priority, is their agreeableness.
So based on that, like the far left and far right would probably just fall into the same one then.
Almost.
Because they're
Yeah,
the same. They're the same thing, just opposite sides of the same fucking thing, you know?
Yeah.
Different flavors of the same Pop-Tart.
Well,
Yeah.
what they say when you look at
Same pop star.
it's weirdly apt, though, isn't it?
yeah, very much so.
That was
Especially
not
especially
the
Pop-Tart.
the food I thought you were going to use as a metaphor when you started that.
But like when you look at the studies, they'll say, you know, conservatives have a tendency to be more fearful of things that are not normal. So more fearful of, I guess this would fall under like, you know, foreigners and immigration and stuff like that, or people that aren't like them and and that's the reputation they have, although the left has plenty of that too.
Yeah.
But the left is more so agreeable in the sense of new things like that. And so those are the kind of Americas. So we have some Americas that are like very much conservative, not necessarily politically, but in the sense of we like things the way they are. Let's
Right.
conserve what we have and let's build on these cool principles and the founding fathers and this and that. And then there's people that are like the opposite, that are like, no,
Burn it down.
the whole world's coming to America. Let's get the borders gone. Let's get everybody in here. We got to get rid of this group of people that have been running things. Let's just switch it up. Let's get rid of the Constitution. Let's just switch it all up. Fuck it. You know, those kind of things. And then it's somewhere in between, you know, so there's all these different, so it's not necessarily politics, but it does fall into that. But it's more of moral
Well, that's
priorities.
only because politics is
It's a
works
representation
itself
of it.
into every aspect of our lives. Somehow we've allowed that to happen.
Right,
I'm not
but
sure how.
you'll find that the more agreeable people will end up being more collectivist in a sense. So they'll want government to do more things, and they'll want people to share their money and distribute it more and have less, you know, individuals making more profit. You know what I mean? So, and then the right would be more of a place where it's like, no, individuals working hard, doing your own thing. And it just is supported by a moral philosophy. And if we looked at the world where it's like, there's a lot of different kinds of folk fundamentally that see you as completely opposite of them, but you're both still moral actors in the world. It doesn't make you shitty. Just because you're a left-wing person and a right-wing person doesn't make either of them shitty. The extremes tend to be shitty. But even the extremes, like on the left, the extremes are, their heart is in the right place. Like anarchy is the thing. They're like, get rid of this big system of oppression. It's like, okay, I'm not against that. That's fucking fine. The extreme right wing is like a little scary when you're talking about the racial stuff and all that crap and whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's left and right. That's stupid America stuff. It's very much up.
Yeah,
Also,
there's
and
definitely
right.
a horseshoe effect
Up
in
and
some of
center,
that
really.
too.
Yeah. Anyway, blah 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 blah. That was my spiel.
So if we have the reasonablest party, is the agreeablest party going to be like our natural
our enemy. I don't know. Maybe it's a faction that breaks off somewhere and we fight like the Whigs in the
They're
fucking
going to
old
be
school.
like our version of the Labor Party.
It's fucking great. I like the future now. I'm more optimistic for
agreeablest.
schisms in the fucking. All right, our last thing for today is to thank our guest for being here, Jake.
Yeah, thank
it's
you
been a
guys.
lot of fun, man. We love your brain, and this has just been
It's fun to
a
get you in
way
the conversation.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun to do this,
We never-
man. It was a good break from
We never
all the
know
other
what it's going to be
bullshit.
like, where it's like, okay, it's just some random guy, even though we do
throwing
yours.
somebody into the Shark Tank of
I
our
know.
bullshit.
I
you know,
know. So thanks for joining us in our weird ride this time. But I did want to ask you a couple things. So you got a brand new album out.
Yep.
And I don't want to ask you like what your influences are in your process and all that shit. But if they're listening to your record, like what, in your hope of hopes, and someone listens to your record, what do you want them to get out of it?
First off, what's it titled?
Hard to Kill a Ghost.
Yeah,
Say
that's
it
a
one more
great,
time.
great
Hard to Kill a
title.
Ghost.
Hard to Kill a Ghost.
Yeah.
Fucking A, it is.
Yeah.
Valid
Well,
point.
Great fucking song too, by the way.
Yes, yes. Which song are we? Do you know which one you want us to play?
I'll figure it out.
Okay.
One second. I was supposed to be. I had 2 hours to fucking figure this out. Fucking do it.
Got too involved in the conversation, didn't
We're
you?
putting this episode out by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, so you got it.
Yeah,
I got one. I'll do Gone.
Which one?
Gone.
Gone.
Do that one. Yeah.
Okay. But back to my question though, like, what do you want people to get from this album? If people could get what you hope for out of it.
Just I don't know, if there's fucking people who are struggling with addiction or I mean anything really, you know, it's I don't know. It's a hard thing to say. I kind of just wrote it, you know.
Right.
I don't write it thinking about other people, you know what I mean? But I guess that's
So are these songs your journey?
Yeah. You know, so it wasn't supposed to be like a concept album or you know put together in any kind of way, but it
Funny
just
how
kind of
that works.
yeah, right. Like most of it's about that like trying to get sober and stay sober and you know relapsing and all that shit. And then the last song on there, or second to last song, the first song and the last song are both just murder ballads that are made up. But the last like personal song on there is I wrote that the day after I got sober. So I got out of the hospital and then I went home that night. I drank that night and then I woke up the next morning. I'm like, I'm fucking done. And then I wrote that song, and that's the second to last song on the album. And so it kind of wrapped
piqued
it
the
up.
Curiosity of several people are looking to buy your album right now. Be like, I gotta.
You're welcome. Yeah. Not to take your money, but please give me your money. But yeah, that song means a lot to me, I guess, because I wrote that one. Like I said, the day I got sober, and it's stuck so far. Other than weed, you know, but.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, I don't know.
count.
Like I said, my sponsor's cool with it, so as long as I get the okay from him, you know, I'm not drinking or doing any hard drugs.
Right.
But yeah, if there's something I want anyone to take out of it, it's just
It's like a helpful tool for him, right?
Yeah, you know,
Get 'em in
just
the
you're
spot.
not fucking alone. You know, there's a lot of people who go through that shit, and I heard people say that all the fucking time. You know, when I was struggling with addiction, I mean, not that I'm not still struggling with it. It's not something that you just stop.
Right.
You know, you just beat.
But you're on a good side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least for now. You know,
Right.
hopefully it sticks. But
Can I interject something on there?
Yeah.
I can tell you though that on a long enough timeline, it's just going to become something of your past, and you no
Yeah.
longer live this life of in recovery. The whole idea of getting in recovery is to move forward in your life.
Yeah.
And when you reach that point of I'm no longer I'm a recovered person, but I don't live a recovered life. Recovery was for me to move forward.
Yeah.
And when you'll know when you've reached that point.
Yeah.
But it does take a timeline.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. I agree. And I've actually had a couple people tell me that in meetings or whatever. I haven't been doing the meetings as much lately, but the first few months it fucking saved my life. You know, it's what kept me sober. But yeah, fuck, I don't know. That's a hard question to answer, but I guess I already kind of answered it. Just
Yeah, you
you're
did.
not fucking alone, as corny and cliche as that is. There's
It's
a lot
so
of
not,
people
though,
go through
for
it
the
and
show.
get through it, and people way worse than me have made it through it, you know, and so,
Awesome.
you know.
And you can tell how thoughtful he is, so you can probably guess what their lyrics are going to be like.
And I think that you could consistently talk about getting people into recovery, trying to convince people to recover themselves from whatever demons that they have, drugs, alcohol, or whatever addictions you can have in this world. You can consistently talk about that and reach somebody.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because everybody's got their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And kind of change the subject a little bit, but onto your voice though. Like, you have one of the most distinct voices. It's a fabulous voice.
Oh, thanks,
and
man.
Nobody, you'll be able, once you hear him sing, you'll be able to pick him out of 1,000 artists every single time. Like, nobody sounds like you. And it's
Thanks, man.
And that's not in any way bad. It's all in perfect key and fucking beautiful melodies. It's like, yeah, you just have a unique voice, and in the world of cookie cutter mediocrity, it's been very refreshing.
Well, you guys both got good voices too.
Oh, we
And
have
I'm
to
the
sing
only
together.
cunt at
I
this
mean, I
table
do.
who hasn't
Zach
listened to your
doesn't.
music. Where do I find your album?
Fucking fake it. You
Everywhere.
you pretty up
Spotify,
everything.
Apple. I got fucking CD. I give you a CD, but I didn't fucking think to bring in.
I don't have a CD player
Okay,
anymore
well,
either.
perfect.
What
Cool.
the fuck,
Spotify,
dude?
Apple,
I made you
YouTube, whatever.
asparagus. What the hell?
Don't you have one? Didn't I give you one?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay. Where would you eat shit? You only get one for free. The next one's $50.
Where would you prefer people to buy your record from? Where do you make the most money for it?
Shit, dude, I don't even know.
Right. Do you have a Bandcamp or?
I need to get that put together. I guess iTunes, you could buy it off there, but
Okay.
I mean,
You
you can stream
listen to
it
on
or
Spotify.
fucking hit me up on Instagram or whatever, and I'll ship one to you.
And if you listen to it 100,000 times, you'll probably make a couple $100.
Yeah. Just stream it while you sleep.
So where is
Build
this
that
album?
coffee.
Where's this album in your career? As far as how long is your recording career so far? Is this second album, first album?
That was the first album. I did a couple singles before then, but yeah, that was the first one. So
how's it feel when you were done? Were you like, okay, this is a fucking record?
it was fucking wild, man. I don't know if you guys felt like this when you guys did your guys' first album, but like I didn't even think it was. I just doubted that it was even gonna get done. You know what I mean? Like I was like, we're just gonna keep working on it, and we're gonna end up with fucking 9 songs.
It's
that
good that we all
sound
have these same
terrible, and we're
fears.
never gonna release them, and I'm gonna waste everyone's time fucking recording all this shit, and then we're not gonna end up putting it out. But yeah, it was super relieving. You know, it was super cool that first like month or two because I didn't have to worry about all that shit anymore. I could just play shows and promote it, and it was super cool. And then, yeah, back to fucking recording again.
It's such a
going
big
back
difference.
through the fucking shit.
Back
you
in
know?
the grinder.
Yeah.
It's such a big difference when you played a bunch of shows and you have no music to sell people. They're like, hey, where can I hear you? Like, oh, I got a video on YouTube from 6 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
When you have an album, you're like, yeah.
No, dude,
check out
seriously.
my shit, and you can hand them out, and it just is a whole nother
Dude,
level.
story of my life. I've been doing music for, well, like I said earlier, ever.
100 years.
I have
100 years, Rick and Morty.
I have one solo album that I released a lot of years ago, and
It's
not-
pretty damn good.
Is it-
The
is it on
songs are
Spotify?
great.
It's not on Spotify
Oh,
because Spotify
shit.
wasn't a fucking thing.
Yeah, you guys are right.
What's it on? Can you send me a link to it?
It's I would rather not.
Was this your
the one that I know?
your BTE
my
stuff?
original BTE stuff. When
Were you wearing the
I don't have
BTE was just me.
I should. Well,
I probably have a physical copy around
I don't
here
have it,
somewhere.
but
I'll
I've
give
heard
you
it.
guys one if you want.
who was recording
if
your
you want
stuff?
some cringe
When I met
material.
you, I came to one of your recording sessions, and I think we just got drunk.
Oh, for the band, for
Yeah.
for Banished Echo, I had Chris Tanaka was doing our recording for BTE when it was the full band. We only ever did a single with him. We
This
didn't
sounds so
actually
good.
do a whole album with when it was the whole band. But I did a little solo one before I even met the guys that ended up being in the band, and it was just me with my shitty $50 microphone in the attic of my buddy's house, and I was singing through my nose because I thought I wanted to be pop punk Kellen Quinn piece of shit. It was so bad, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
It's part of your history, though.
My whole
It's
point
important.
of saying that was just to say that I've played all the years since with people seeing me play my solo stuff, and they're like, "Where can we get your stuff?" And I'm like,
0 places.
"You can't."
until 2023, because you were working on a solo album.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
No shit, are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We
yeah.
should do.
I'm 2 songs deep.
We should play. Obviously, we're going to play your music at the end of this one, Jake. But we should play the one song that you recorded with. Didn't you get 1 or 2 from Tanaka?
Just one.
Just
Yeah,
one? We
yeah.
should play that.
It was
Uh,
My Phantom, I think.
Yeah, My Phantom.
Yeah.
We
I
should
need
play
you to
that
do
again.
something special with Low Man because I was talking about that today in this chat group. Just saying it's a. I know it was an important song to you. It probably means something different to me, but I cannot listen to that song without tearing up, particularly live. You start playing that live, I'm like, fuck, I gotta leave the room
That makes my day.
because I'm a baby.
That song
So
was
that is a great song.
I cried a lot writing that song, so that helped me out, or that makes me feel good.
Tears by proxy, bro.
Yeah, but I was depressed in California, hoping that I would die.
Yeah.
It was not fun down there at that time. I was very broke, living in a little trailer. It sucked.
Artist paying, bitch. Rub some dirt in it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm so glad I went through that.
So, Jake, what's your least favorite song on your album?
Ooh, shit. Let me look at it.
What's your least favorite child?
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, dude, I listened to the whole thing
He's like, I'm
twice.
awesome.
Like the final more. I listened to it like fucking neurotically when we were working on it, but
Yeah.
I listened to it when I got the CDs back, make sure the CDs all worked, and I listened through it all once on Spotify, made sure it uploaded right, and I can't fucking listen to it anymore.
So he hates all his
I hate 'em
children.
all.
So I would imagine that would happen. You write a
critical.
song, like even the big band, they write a song, it's on the radio, it's this huge #1 hit, and that's what they're playing. They've got to get fucking tired of playing the same
They probably
song
definitely
over
don't
and over.
listen to the album.
Well, I'm
It's
sick
like,
of hearing it, but I'm also just so critical of myself, like my voice and shit. I fucking listen to these, I'm like, oh god, like that's what I'm fucking handing people at shows.
Sounds great.
I can't do that.
That's so funny.
Nobody likes their own voice.
No,
though.
I
listen to
yeah.
these episodes and I just cringe.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Same.
I sound like such a douche.
If we had headphones on, it'd be a little better for us because then we could hear. It's like, okay, that's how I sound. Okay, but we're just like,
hi. How's it going? I think I would just want to be clawing my ears the whole time listening to myself talk.
I guess I'd say out of all the songs on here, Dirtbag Kid's probably my least favorite, which is like one of the most popular songs on the fucking thing.
That's always how it fucking goes.
But that's probably my least favorite.
how did that? Was that a quick song to write, or was it just a?
Yeah, well, I wrote it because a buddy of mine, one of like my best friends from skateboarding, he was making a video and he asked me to write a song for the video he's making. And he's like, write it about skateboarding and being a dirtbag. And I was like, that sounds like it'll be super fucking corny. And so I wrote it, and yeah, just like, I don't know, it just seems too on the nose to me. You know, it's like fuck your car and fuck. Yeah, I'm just I don't know.
That's how it is, man.
But people like it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one though?
Probably Gone, which is I'm not super stoked on how the vocals turned out on it. Just, I mean, Ben, my bass player, producer, he did a great job, but I'm just, critical of myself.
Feel that.
But that's the one I wrote when I got sober. So that one means
That's
fucking
the
lot
number
to
one.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the one that we're going to hear next. Fucking A. Is there anything else you want to say about that song? Like, you wrote that by yourself. It was
Yeah.
okay. And then who's in the studio with you?
It was me, and that song is just me and Ben. I played
And that's Ben Vogel.
Ben Vogel, yeah. Eric Johnson, he used to play with me. He played lead on a few tracks on the album.
Eric
And
Johnson,
then-
he's
yeah.
expensive. Oh, God, this is another
Different
Eric.
Eric. Dude, I know
Common
another
name.
I know another dude in Boise named Eric Johnson that plays guitar. I always stay at his
You
house.
should have a
when I
whole
go there.
band and just call it the Eric Johnson.
Right.
Jake and the Eric Johnsons.
But no, Eric played lead on a couple of tracks, and then Ben played bass and drums on the whole album, and the backing vocals, and then I did the guitar and banjo and fiddle.
Okay, so you said banjo
mandolin
and
harmonica.
So basically, Ben did all the work.
So say that again. So you played guitar, banjo, fiddle, harmonica.
and mandolin.
And
There's only
mandolin.
harmonica on one song though.
Okay,
But,
fucking A.
and then sang, obviously.
So that gives somebody, I mean, they're about to hear the song, but that gives them an idea of what kind of music. How do you describe your music to people?
I try not to.
Right.
It
makes
No,
it
I don't know.
sucky.
It's like
keeping you in a box.
it's bluegrass. Like I grew up around like playing old time fiddle music and around a lot of bluegrass, and I fucking love bluegrass, and it's like the majority of what I listen to. But bluegrass players would probably fucking listen to it and be like, "This is not fucking bluegrass." So I don't want to call it that, But
It's got folk, but it has like a punk vibe to it. Like you have a punk vibe with your brain where you're like, I'm going to talk shit about some things that are on my mind right
That
now.
Yeah.
skater boy in him.
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Fuck. I usually just say folk or Americana because those are kind of umbrella terms,
Yeah.
But yeah, bluegrass-ish, punkish, whatever.
Well, it's like trying to put a genre on Sovereign.
Yeah,
Can't
exactly.
do it.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck I'd call you guys because it's like
Neither do
metal,
we.
but
No, we've
kind
tried.
of has bluegrass undertones, sorta, or folk country kind
Yeah.
of, but it's not.
For the first time in my life, my songs sound like country or folk sometimes. But one more question for you from me. So our violin player in Sovereign gets very offended when people call it a fiddle. Mm-hmm. And I've asked him why, kind of, but he's a very nice man, so he's not trying to disparage anyone, but in his circle of friends, the fiddle is not what people do. They play violin.
Yeah.
When you talked fiddle, are you offended when somebody calls it a violin?
No, I don't I don't really play the fiddle. So
Right,
I don't
but you
really,
have, but-
no, but I know people who do.
Okay.
Like I grew up around people who do. You know
And
what I mean?
are they offended by the difference? Are
yeah,
they?
for sure. It's fucking bizarre, and I don't get it.
What's the
Yeah.
difference? Is it just the scales people are using?
I
Because it's the same
think-
instrument, right?
I think violins are I always thought they were the same instrument. Someone told me recently, and they could have been full of shit, that violins they either have a flatter neck or a more rounded neck. I'm like,
So Jerry's like, you flat neck cunt.
I don't fucking know, man. I have no idea, but I do
ain't
know
no flat neck.
like how I grew
Things
up with
that sound
the
racist
old time
but
fiddle
aren't.
music, man. The old time fiddle music is super gatekeep, and I don't mean this in a condescending way, because it's cool. And not everyone's like this, but it is kind of gatekeepy where it's like, I remember like as a kid, like you're sitting around a jam circle and someone walks up with a banjo and everyone's like, get the fuck out of here. I mean, nicely, like, you know,
Right.
Or they won't say get the fuck out of here, but they'll all be like noticeably annoyed, you know what I mean? Or a harmonica, same thing.
Wow.
And I know bluegrass is similar in a lot of ways. And so I don't know, people are just, I don't know. It is what it is. And I get with the old time fiddle stuff. It actually, my dad and I were talking about it recently, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of lame. And he's like, actually, you know, it's cool that it exists, that people are doing that, because it kind of keeps the tradition alive without any outside influence. So that way that will always be there, so people can continue to draw from like the actual raw source of what it is. Mm-hmm. And so I my opinions kind of changed on it. I think it's kind of cool for that reason. You know, it's a necessary evil. I don't think, like, I wouldn't be all weird about like having certain people come jam with me at a jam circle, you know, but
right.
I get it, you know.
Totally.
But I don't know. I don't
That's
know
an
where I was
interesting
going
way
with
to
that,
think
but
about it. Like they're carrying the torch, you know.
Yeah,
like,
you know.
they can be a little cunty, but they're keeping the old school alive.
Yeah, and most of them are super fucking cool and inclusive, but it's
okay,
it's
you can
definitely
gatekeep, asshole.
I spent some time around bluegrass festivals when I was a kid because my dad was super into it. So I didn't really participate. I just went to hang out, but I met a lot of really fucking cool people at bluegrass festivals when I was younger. So.
Fuck yeah, nice.
They're fun. If you've never gone to a bluegrass festival, you should.
Yeah.
I think I've been.
There's a really cool one in Weiser, Idaho. It's a fiddle. It's an old time fiddle competition, but it's like they make like a whole weekend out of it, and people just camp out in the fucking field, and it's
nice.
It's super funny because like so there's like hundreds of people camping in this fucking field, and you just walk 20 feet in any direction. There's another jam circle with fucking 15 people. It's super cool.
That's somebody's like Christmas fucking birthday.
It's awesome. I went back for the first time in like fucking 15 years probably with my dad. Not last July, but the July before that, and it was really cool. But it's funny because it's like all the old time fiddle stuff right there in the field. Then across the street, there's like an area where everyone else camps, like with bluegrass shit, and all the fiddle people are like super like they hate on they just hate on the guys across the street, and I'm sure the guys across the street are doing the same thing, but
it's like golfers and disc golfers.
No, exactly, dude. And I'm sure the guys across the street are doing the same thing. I haven't spent a lot of time over there, but that was more my thing. It was more inclusive, and they had banjos and harmonicas, and they sang. Singing's another thing. If you sing at an old time fiddle kind of thing, you might as well have a fucking banjo, you fucking dork. You know?
All right, this is our longest podcast so far, but 2 real quick questions. I used to ask this with my magazine for artists so that we weren't always talking music. Do you have any words of wisdom that you got throughout your life that you'd want to share with people, or is that too much of a question on the spot? But is there something you'd say, well, this fucking sticks with me, here you go? Well,
probably. Fuck, I don't know. I'm gonna fucking leave here and be like, oh, I should have said that. You know? But no,
we'll fill it in later. Just call us later, and we'll just pretend that you said it. And
okay.
We'll fill it in. The last one is like it's basically how would you like to be remembered, but in a more morbid way. Like, what would you want on your headstone?
I mean, if I'm dead, I don't really give a fuck.
Right, but if you're working your life while you're alive, like, how would you like to work towards being remembered?
I don't. Just that I made an impact on the world, I guess, and you know, or not on the world, but you know, that
world peace, bro.
No, not world peace. Just like, I mean, addiction's something I've struggled with for a long time, and you know, there's depression and a bunch of other shit that I deal with that I'm sure a lot of fucking people deal with. But I mean, that's so far kind of been the biggest thing in my life, and so if I can help anyone else, and I don't know, just that I cared about people and that I made people's lives better in any way, not just with music, you know, just, you know, that I was there for people and I contributed to their lives, you know what I mean?
Heck yeah,
absolutely.
Like when you answered their text messages and shit.
Yeah, despite not answering their text messages, you know?
That's the caveat I was hoping for.
All right, well, this has been a fucking hell of a ride. Thank you for joining us, Jake.
Thank you guys
thanks
again
for your time,
fucking having me, man. This is awesome.
This has been a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, and our first one in the nest. This is out of our studio in MRB Studios.
Squarely in my fucking living room.
Fuck yeah. And now you have to go to work and edit that and get it to me immediately so then I can go fuck. Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. This is the thank you part. Thank you to our trusted turd triad of Don the Shitbox Wizard, Chris the Discord Dookie Slayer, and of course Bodie, the quartermaster of Scatcast. Thank you to the Godhead, but just a little bit. And thank you to the Garbage Disposal and Alan. And thousands. I mean, there's a bunch of people doing shit at this point. There's messenger groups and spreading the emotionals, and I can't even name them all. There's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Thank you guys
Paul
for being
Folks has got something going on.
Yeah,
there, too.
always.
Yeah.
Check out the POE podcast. I believe it's Phantasmagoric Oddities Emporium. Best voice in fucking podcasting as far as I'm concerned. You guys are amazing. But thank you guys for being so, I don't know, what's the word? Engaged in Scatcast and all the products we do here.
Yeah.
It's been a
Quite
blast.
honestly, it gives us a little bit of validity along as well as this is the time that we get together and talk. So
I mean, this has been fun. It's been fun to see you, Jake, but I don't get to see these. I get to see Shaiden a lot because we play, but not as much as I'd like. I barely get to see you anymore, Jeff, because you live out in the fucking boonies now, and now you want to move further away out in the boonies.
no, I'm just going to the same boonies that I always go to. That's
Yeah,
all.
but you
I just
don't-
want to be there permanently. I'm still coming back.
Fucking
The travel's not bad.
All right. Well, justaridepod@gmail.com is how you get a hold of specifically the guys from Just a Ride, and info@scatcast.com for all the other stuff.
Yeah, thanks to all of our Patreon people.
Yeah, fucking
you
A.
guys, they just keep rolling in. We got a few new ones this week. I don't have my email in front of me like I normally do, otherwise I'd shout you out, but we'll get you, don't worry.
We'll shout you out next week for sure.
Yeah, was it patreon.com/justride?
Just Ride, I think. Yeah.
I think so.
Also, you can go
find
to...
it. I'm sure you're resourceful out there.
Right, and you can also go to patreon.com/Scatcast. Just saying.
Plug, Scatcast.com.
Could I add one more thing real quick?
Sure.
So it's not really cool to like ask people for fucking money for yourself or whatever. So I'll do it for you guys.
Oh,
but fucking, this is super cool, and like we need more, especially locally. I mean, obviously, like your audience isn't super locally, but just in this area. But
None of our friends like us or listen to us. Yeah.
well, it's
They gotta listen to me
really
face to
fucking
face.
cool, like having a platform like you guys kind of are building, you know.
Thanks,
and
man.
I appreciate you guys having me, and
Oh, it's our pleasure.
anyone listening that has some extra money, fucking give it to them. You know,
We'll waste it
join their
accordingly.
Patreon, and I will ship you a CD.
Ooh.
But you got to pay for shipping. I can't go at a loss.
It
but
gets
I'll-
complicated.
I can't go at a loss, but I'll give you a free one.
Free hot
after
dogs
that.
for life. No drinks, though. Can't do it. Can't do it. Anybody know the movie?
Thanks. No.
Free hot dogs for
Other
it?
guys. The other guys.
Oh, good.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
our audiences might maybe bigger than you think. You might have just lost yourself a lot of money. Just saying.
Well, shit. Okay, first
First one. How about
Okay,
that?
first one's free. First $20 Patreon monthly subscriction.
Thanks
You get a
for
free CD.
saying all that, Jake.
Yeah,
We
very
paid
much.
him to say that, but I appreciate you saying that. Anyway.
Yeah, I am getting money from it.
But what a blast. Thank you guys so much. This has been episode 25, the Mark McGuire / Barry Bonds / Jim Tomei / Sammy Sosa episode.
Nobody cares.
5 people care. There's some sports ball fans on this fucking network, all right? But thanks, you guys. And as always, we'll talk at you in the future.
It'll seem like the present.
Bye.
See ya.
I came to this afternoon with an IV in my arm. Doctor says that your liver's fine, you better count your lucky stars. But it's hard to see the sky beneath the hole that I'm falling through. But if there's one thing that I still can count, it's everything I need to. They're gone. Oh, they're gone. And so am I. And I can't excuse the things that I tried to defend. Well, she said she's leaving me, but I was gone long before then. I hid my wrongs in the hair of the dog that I
seem to tame. And I swore I was better this time, but it's always gonna be the same. She's gone. Oh, she's gone. But hell, I tried.
Bing. Bong.
Stealth fart.
Dude, leave that in. That's shit.